Good morning to all. Is anyone there? Good morning. Can we start? Yes. Yesterday we discussed about the American Revolution, but we have not yet completed the American Revolution. Clear? We discussed about the background of the American Revolution. In the background of the American Revolution, we saw how the people were migrated. How means reason. What were the various reasons for the migration of the people from the European continent to the colonies of United States of America? What were the reasons behind that? One reason was various opportunities that were present in the United States of American colonies. Opportunities like land, opportunities like employment, opportunities like resources, etc., etc. So these were the reasons for the opportunity where the people migrated from Europe to United States of America. That is colony. One. That is one thing. Second reason we saw the climatic factor, where the climate was very, very conducive for the European people. Similar climate in Europe, similar climate in the American colonies. So both the climate is very, very affordable for them. Both the climate is very, very suitable for them. That's why people were migrated and settled in the colonies of the United States of America. Second reason. Third reason we saw, because of some problem in the Christianity divided into two. One was Protestant and another one was the Roman Catholic. Because of this division in the Christianity, the kings of European continent were divided into two groups, Roman Catholic kings and Protestant kings. Because of this, there was a religious unrest. I told you, religious unrest. Because of this religious unrest, people were migrated to the American colonies, that is to the United States of America. We saw that third one. And the fourth one, the policy that was adopted by Henry VIII of England. For his selfishness, he wanted to marry a lady. He divorced the sixth one, but it was not sanctioned by the Pope. So he switched his faith, religious faith, from the Catholic Christianity to the Protestant Christianity. So because of that, many people from England, understand, many people from England migrated to the United States of American colonies. That is we saw. And another one, many criminals, outlaws, dangerous persons were deported. That is we call it a deportation. Deported to the abandoned island, either to Australia or to the United States of America. So the dangerous criminals were transported to the United States of American colonies, where they were put it there. So that was the another reason. That is, we saw the background. People, what was the reason for the migration of the people from Europe to United States of American colonies? That is, we saw in the background. In the causes of the revolution, we saw the intellectual cause. Intellectual cause. What was the intellectual cause? I told you. Who were these people who settled in the colony? Yes, the people who settled in the colonies belonged to Europe. Who were these? What happened in Europe few centuries back? Renaissance. So the people belonged to the Renaissance era. They were not believe in superstitious belief. They were not believe in any other thing. They were very, very independent. They were very, very thought provocative. They were very ideological. So those people were independent lovers. So that's why they don't want to become like a slave. They want to be like an independent. So the intellectual reason, first reason was independent nature. Independent nature. Independent nature. People of the American colonies. One. Second reason, British government treated the American colony people, British colony people, as a second category citizen that was not liked by the 13 American colony people. So because of that, that was the reason. Okay, coming to the point. Next one, political cause. The political. Okay. The political cause. The political cause we saw, we discussed the thing. The first two, the political reason for that. 7 years war. 7 years war. In the 7 years war, British on one side, France was on one side, along with Spain and Dutch. So in that war, British won the war, and because of that, the colony people, the British colony, the United States of American colony people, along with the British army, fight against the French, Spanish, and the Dutch. Okay, this is the political reason. But who were the real reason for winning the 7 years war from the colony side? That was the colony people who were responsible for winning the war. That is one thing. I told you one more thing. I'll discuss that point here in the intellectual itself. That was the colony people were treated as a second category citizen. Second category citizen. That was not liked by the British colony people. That is what we discussed. So these were the two political reasons that was responsible for the American Revolution. Revolution not yet started, understand? Revolution not yet started. These were the reasons for the revolution to start. Okay. Next one, economic cause. Economic cause. This is what we have to discuss today. So we discussed up to this yesterday. Now we have to start from the economic cause of the American Revolution. Can we go? Yes. Economic cause. Before going into the, I want to know about the map. Okay, coming back. So I told you, up to this, that was the Spanish colony. I told you yesterday, this was the Spanish colony, where Spain hold over this area. The Spanish colony, up to this. And this one, French colony. The French colony. This was the French colony. Okay. And this one. And this one. And this one. That was the British colony. British colony. So this was the British colony. Okay, understand? British colony. Up to this, that was the British colony. How many colonies were there here? British colony. How many colonies were there? There were 13 colonies. 13 colonies on the eastern coast. Eastern coast. Okay. What was the nature of this colony? Nature. Nature of the colony. Nature of colony. Okay. Okay. What was the nature of the colony? There were 13 colonies in number. What was the nature of this colony? Understand? Okay. For each and every colony, understand, each and every colony, there was a legislative council. Legislative council. I will explain what is mean by legislative council very clearly to understand. In our every village, every town, we have got what we got, Panchayat Raj institution. That is like the local self-government. Like that, for each and every colony, they have a legislative council. What is the nature of the Panchayat Raj? It elected a member of themselves and they execute the work there. That is the job of the Panchayat. For what kind of work? Taxing, some important resolution, administration, local administration, like these things. So that was the nature of the Panchayat. Like that, the legislative council for each and every colony was there. So there were 13 legislative council. What is the job of this legislative council? The job, work. What was the work of this legislative council? The legislative council would impose taxes. What is the taxes? What is the goods incoming tax? What is the goods outgoing tax? That is excise duty. What is the toll duty? Everything that would be each and every legislative council would decide what is the taxes of Virginia colony, what is the tax of the New South Hampshire, what is the Georgian colony, what is the taxes. Like this, they have the job of the each and every legislative council. So the work of the legislative council was to impose that is the taxes, regulation, taxes, taxing, the taxing power. Simply understand, taxing power rests with the legislative councils of the colony. Okay, next one. Militia. What is mean by this militia? Militia means small auxiliary force gathered during the time of emergency situation. In case any robbery happen, the thieves are going out. What would happen? They don't have any police work, because this colony was a small budgeting thing. So what they happen means the people of themselves gathered and they form a small group. That group is called as a militia, informal police. Understand? It is like a friends of police now we are having. In most of the states, we are having the friends of police. That is, the civilians themselves was doing the policing job with the assistance of the police. Like that, militia means the informal police. That it was. The informal police was there in the each and every colony have an informal police to maintain the law and order, everything in the colony. That is the militia. So that was also looked by the legislative council, and that is the election. For election for what? Electing members to the legislative council. That is the 13 colonies. Okay. This was for the 13 colonies. Each and every colony had a separate legislative council. Overall administration would be taken care by whom? It was by the overall the legislative council were taken care by the governor. That was taken care by the governor. So this governor was a direct appointed by the British government. Like our governor. If we know in our state, there is each and every state is a governor. That governor is not belonging to that state. He is directly selected and appointed by the, we know that, directly appointed by the central government. Like that, the 13 colonies were there. For each and every colony, they had a legislative council. Overall, the legislative council were taken care by a single administrative authority which was appointed by the British government. That was the governor. Okay. So the hierarchy is legislative council, Above that, governor. Governor. The governor is a British appointment, British government appointment. That is the thing. So, governor and the legislative council. Okay, this was the nature of the colony. How many colonies were there? I told you there were the 13 number of colonies which was present there on the eastern coast of the United States of America. Okay. Okay. What was the economic cause of the American Revolution? What was the economic cause for this American Revolution? Economic cause. The colonies which were present here, see, here in the United States of America, two rivers are flowing down. I think you come across in the map reading class in the United States of America. Two important rivers, Mississippi, Missouri. Mississippi and Missouri is flowing down in the southern part of the United States of America. Here, in this colony region of the United States of America, many resources were known, and it was known for many resources. What were the resources? Cotton, wheat, sugarcane, jute, tobacco. This was a dense forest region. If they cut down the trees, the wood of the tree would be very good for the use of the furniture. Timber, wood. So, and some other minerals. Minerals means here very earliest known was copper. All these were grown here in this part of the colony region of the United States of America. And another thing, tea, coffee, cocoa limited. Tea, coffee, cocoa was in very minimum level. Okay, these were the resources which were grown. These were the agricultural commodities which were produced here in this part of the colony region. Okay. This is the background. Now we coming to the American cause. Now we come to the economic cause. The British government saw the situation. The British was growing population. The population was keep on increasing. The British population was keep on increasing. The demand and need was keep on increasing. Where they can go for resources? On that occasion, they saw the colony where these commodities were grown, and they thought, how to get tea from this colony people, how to get cotton from this colony people, how to get this jute, tobacco from the colony people without spending very less, how to get all these things. Directly, all these commodities should be supplied directly to the British. How that is possible? The British government passed one act, and that was called the Navigation Act, the first one. Navigation Act, first one. What is mean by this Navigation Act? Navigation Act means import and export should be done only with British ship. So import and export from the colony should be done with England only with the British ship. So whatever the thing, import, they are importing. What they are importing? Tea, coffee from colony, wheat from colony, sugarcane from colony, jute from colony, tobacco from colony, cotton from colony, directly to England. They are importing. And now this tea, coffee become what? They become grinded tea and coffee was in the leaves, coffee would be in the form of the nuts. They will grind that and packed it and send it to the colony people in the same form as a coffee powder, tea powder. Cotton. Cotton is imported to England as a raw cotton, and they exported the same cotton to the colony people in the form of what? Fabric, shirt, cloth, like that. Sugarcane. Sugarcane would go to England, and sugarcane would come out of England in the form of a molasses, that is wine. Wine, that is a liquor. England was very good at liquor, that is whiskey, brandy, and all this in wine industry. Wine. So England saw the colony was a prosperous and thriving area for all the commodities which was growing here, and it wanted to utilize those opportunities. So the first thing, we must not lose these things to anyone. So we have to get all these things only for England, and we have to benefit out of it. That's why they passed the Navigation Act. Import and export only through British ship. Only through British ship, not by any other ship. Okay. Next one. That is with the next one. Trading regulation. Trading regulations. What is trading regulation? Earlier they passed the Navigation Act. Ship only through ship. That is, import and export only with the ship. Now trading certain commodities should be traded only with England, only with British. So certain commodities should be only traded with British, with no one else. No to France, no to Spain, no to Dutch, no to Italians or any other country. Cotton, example. Cotton means this cotton must be trading only from the colony to the British. From the British. So by passing the trading regulation, certain commodities should be traded only with the British by the colony people. Why? What is the reason for that? Understand, in England, industrial revolution was taking place. The industries of England needed a lot of cotton from them. So because of that, they passed such a trading regulation. Cotton, if we have cotton, we can become the master of the industrial world. So that's why British thought that cotton should be exported only to the British, no to anyone. So they pass a trading regulation. Example, cotton. Why? Industrial revolution was the reason. Clear? Okay. Next one. Trading regulation. Next one. Currency Act. What was the Currency Act? Now, the 13 colonies were the colonies of whom? British. What is the currency of the British? We know that. The currency of the British was pound, shilling. Now, what the government imposing to the colony people, what the British government imposing over the colony people? Colony people should use only the currency of England, that is pound and shilling. So the Currency Act imposed the pound and shilling over colony people. The colony people may convenient in using any other currency, or they may have their own currency. Example, I will tell you what. Example, I tell you what, we are very convenient in using our currency of rupees. We are very convenient of using our currency of rupees, because that is our currency. If the United States of America is imposing, no, India, hereafter you must not use rupees, you have to use only dollar, what would happen? Our Indian rupee, $1 rupee is around how much? Around 70 rupees. What would happen? Everything would be fallen down. That is what. Understand the same situation here. Colony people are using some kind of currency. We don't want and don't need what is the currency. Some local currency they were all using. But the British government is imposing the pound and sterling over the colony people, which was in very high cost. The colony people cannot be able to purchase those commodities with the pound and sterling. For example, 1 rupee is equal to approximately $70. $1, sorry, very sorry. $1 is approximately equal to the 70 rupees. For example, that is the thing. One local currency of United States of America during the time of those is equal to the 70 rupees of the pound or the sterling. That is not able to acceptable by the colony people. Colony people is protesting. They are not accepting these things. No, we don't accept these things. How it is possible? We are not affordable. They are thinking like that. On this occasion only, the 7 years war was happened. 7 years war was happened. What happened in the 7 years war? In the 7 years war, British won. Okay, British won. Even though British won the war, it faced a heavy loss in the war. Lot of war loss in the 7 years war. It completely lost its financial condition. It had a huge financial loss because of this 7 years war. British government thinking how to overcome this financial problem, like our GDP today. I think what is our GDP today? It is going down. Like that, the British GDP was going down because of the 7 years war. How to recover our GDP? How to recover our financial condition from this 7 years war? The British government thinking. And now the British government come with a solution that why can't we tax the colony people? If we tax the colony people, we can able to get money from the colony people and we can able to overcome our financial loss. So the British government come with the idea of taxing the colony. Taxing the colony. So they come with the idea of yes, we can continue. Because of the 7 years war, the British won the 7 years war, but they face a financial burden. How to overcome this financial burden? They come with a solution that is called taxing the colony. So the British government introducing a taxing, that is the taxes. This information, these things were discussing in the British Parliament. Why yes, we can taxing the colony people, and this thing, the taxing information came to known for the colony people. The colony people were discussing. Have you heard that? In the British Parliament there in British Island, they are discussing about imposing taxes over us. Some people say that no, that is not possible. Because taxing power is not with the British government. Where is taxing power? We are having the taxing power. Legislative Council, our Legislative Council is having the taxing power. The British government don't have the taxing power. How they can tax us? No, that is impossible. They can't do that. In the colony, the people are thinking like that. The colony people are speaking like that, are discussing like that. But in the British Parliament, they're discussing about the imposing of taxes. On one day, the British government introducing the taxes over the colony, and the name of the tax which was introduced by the British government was introduced the taxes was Stamp Act. Stamp Act. Stamp Act. What is mean by Stamp Act? I will give the definition for that Stamp Act. All legal tender to be affixed with British stamp. This is a definition. I will explain. Wait. First you take this. I will explain. That is, all legal tender to be affixed with the British stamp. This is called Stamp Act. Sir, then tell me briefly, elaborately. I will tell you. Newspaper. The cost of the newspaper is one rupee. Example I am saying 1 rupee. Example only. Don't take it. Okay. 1 rupee. Before 7 years war. After passing the Stamp Act, they would fix the British stamp here. The stamp is 2 rupees. What is the cost of the newspaper now? Yes, 3 rupees. Each and every person has to bear extra 2 rupees for purchasing this newspaper. That is what the taxation introduced by the British government over the colony in the name that is called Stamp Act. Not only in newspaper, books, documents, all legal tender, every commodity they have. Simply understand like a GST office. That is extra. So, okay. So, all legal tender to be affixed with the British stamp. Now, the colony people is protesting. All the 13 colony, not all 13 colonies, some majority of the colony, understand, not all 13 colonies, majority of the colonies, maybe 8 or 9 or 10. That is what the word present in the book, majority of the colony. Majority of the colony people was protesting for this. Why they are protesting? First reason, where is the taxing power? Who is having the taxing power? Our legislative council is having the taxing power. How you British government can tax us? Don't you think this is unconstitutional? Don't you think that is illegal? We want to pay. We want to buy anything. In modern India, you come across 1905. What happened? 1905, one movement started. What is that? Swadeshi movement. Yes, Swadeshi. What is that Swadeshi movement? Boycotting the foreign goods. Very good. Boycotting the foreign goods. Now, same like that, the British, the colony people, the British colony people in the 13 American, not in the 13 American colonies, majority of the colony people have protested against the Stamp Act. How they protested? They protested against the Stamp Act in the form of economic boycott. This economic boycott by the colony people for what? Against Stamp Act. Against Stamp Act. Against Stamp Act. What economic boycott? We are not going to import anything. No import, no export. Economic boycott. No import, no export. We won't send any cotton to you. We won't send any cotton to you. We won't send any tea to you. We won't send any coffee to you. We won't send any tobacco to you. Nothing. Same thing. We won't buy any of your commodity like shirt, the furniture, what you are sending, the cigar from the tobacco, what you are sending, the wine which we are sending from our sugar cane. We won't buy anything. We won't send our commodity. We won't buy your commodity. Complete boycott against the Stamp Act. day by day, month by month, the protests getting severe there in the 13 American, in the majority of the colonies, month by month, it is increasing. It was started, and almost 2 years or 3 years, the British government cannot able to tolerate this thing. And what the British government did it after few years, after 2 or 3 years did it was, they have repealed the Stamp Act. Repealed means calling back. Repealed Stamp Act. Why British government repealed the Stamp Act? Because of the economic boycott of the colony people. Not they send anything, they never buy anything from the British. Because who had a loss because of this one? British only bear the loss because of this one. Because they can't able to get any supply for their industries, and they cannot able to send anything. So huge loss for the British industries, huge loss for the British government only. Because of that, after 2 years, they have repealed the Stamp Act. Stamp Act. The protest which staged for this Stamp Act was called as Stamp Act Congress. Stamp Act Congress. What is this Stamp Act Congress? Against the Stamp Act, I told you, few colonies gathered against British to protest against Stamp Act under the name called Stamp Act Congress. What is Stamp Act Congress means? Like association. Think it of like an association. Like an association to protest against the British government, against the Stamp Act. The few of the colonies gathered in one platform to fight against the British government, to economic boycott. That is called Stamp Act Congress. That is called as a Stamp Act Congress. Few years I told you. Now coming back to our story. Few years after this, the British government repealed the Stamp Act. But the British government was not idle. It is a great loss for us, they thought. It is a great loss for us. How can they do like this one? How they can protest against our British government? It is impossible. We should not allow this one. Send another tax. Definitely this time we have to tax the colony people. The British government thought. After few years, they passed another tax that was called Townshend Act. What is meant by Townshend? Townshend is a name of the finance minister. British finance minister. British finance minister. On his name, in England, you know that in England, each and every act passed by the member, they had that name in the act. North tax. North tax means which was introduced by a man called North. Townshend Act means which was introduced by a man called Townshend. Granville tax or Granville Act, we called it as Granville Act. Granville Act means which was introduced by a man called Granville. The finance minister or MP which introduced the act, it becomes act means in their name only the act came. That is what the custom practice there in England. Okay, not in India. Okay, so Townshend was a British finance minister. The British finance minister introduced a tax that is called Townshend Act. What is a tax here? they passed the act that is called, hereafter colony people has to pay taxes for tea, paper, jute, paint, metals, etc. etc. So they have to pay taxes for tea, they have to pay taxes for paper, they have to pay taxes for jute, they have to pay taxes for paint, metals, etc. That is the thing. Okay. Sir, why British government introduced only in this thing, not in any other thing? Okay, I will give an explanation for you. Why Indian government is taxing? Why Indian government is using the surcharge over petrol? Why Indian government is taxing, introducing the taxing or surcharging over petrol? Only in petrol, diesel. Why? What is the reason? Because petrol is diesel is considered to be as a daily consumption commodity. If you taxing over a daily consumption commodity by a larger people, large revenue would go to the government. That is the reason. So we must understand from this, tea is largely consumed by the people of colony. Paper they used either for writing or printing, something like that, and jute, and then paint and graphite metals, all these were. So in order to crush the trade, in order to pauper the people of the colony people, the British government passed over the tax over tea, paper, jute, paint and metals. By the time when Townshend introduced the act, 13 colony, invariably all colony gathered on one platform. No, we won't pay taxes for this. It is locally producing here. Why we have to pay taxes to you people of England? Never, we won't pay any taxes. Definitely we won't pay any taxes because tea is producing here. Paper we are producing here. Paint we are producing here. And why we have to pay taxes for you? For your selfishness, we won't pay any taxes. And now, because of this Townshend Act, because of Townshend Act, 13 colonies, now only all the 13 colonies gathered on one platform and protest against the British. Protest against British. Protest against the British. Okay. Now, all the 13 colony, each and every colony had a legislative council, I told you, and elected members of the legislative council are discussing now, elected leaders of the legislative council. No, this must not happen. We must not allow this to happen. That is the Townshend Act. Once again, against the Townshend Act, economic boycott was introduced. Economic boycott for what? Townshend Act. Against Townshend Act. No import, no export. No import and no export that it was. No import and no export it was. Economic boycott. And now British government thought how to crush these 13 colony people who are protesting against this economic boycott of Townshend Act. So they are not willing to pay taxes for tea, paper, jute, paint. And how to overcome this problem? And now the British government think of one more strategic thing, and they think of idea. Why can't we dump those things? Why can't we change something there in the colony people? Are they thinking like that? And now day by day, day by day, day by day, and week by week, month by month, here the boycott was getting more and more severe, more and more severe. British government cannot able to tolerate. All the people gathered to the street and they are protesting everywhere. It was riot. They are ransacking the office, they are ransacking the shop, looting. Everywhere it was riot. Complete law and order less. There was no any law and order. That was complete. It was a complete chaotic situation. That was a riot, looting, everything was there. And now the British government thought that okay, repeal the act. Now within a year, the British government repealed the Townshend Act. Repealed the Townshend Act. Townshend Act. But only small change. Here. No repeal over tea. That is tax over tea. Tax over tea was continued. I told you. Okay. So repeal the Townshend Act for paint, for metals, for paper, for jute, everything was repealed. No, you don't pay taxes for those things. But you have to pay taxes for tea. Tax over tea was continued. No, we won't call back. Why British government called for taxes, repealed for other commodities, but retained only over tea? British government thought that if we repeal everything, the colony people thought we would become weak. What British government thought was, if we repealed all taxes over all commodity, they thought that the colony people would think that British government is very weakened. So they can't able to hold over us. They are no longer a strong. It is no longer a strong country. They thought like that. So tax over tea to be continued, because in order to show their dominant, in order to show over their imperialism, that is the thing. So continued because of dominant nature of British government. Okay, so tax over tea was continued. On this occasion, when tax over tea was continued, on this occasion, five ships which was carrying tea from India and Sri Lanka are sailing towards the coastal region of the American colonies. The ships are coming into the Atlantic Ocean. The ships are coming across there in the Atlantic Ocean. They are coming towards the United States of American 13 colonies. And when they were very nearer to the colony, they were very nearer to the Boston province. Were very nearer to the Boston province. On this occasion, the 13 colonies elected legislative leaders. One of the most important leader on that occasion was John Adams. John Adams. John Adams, along with a few of his friends, they gathered and they thought that if we allow the ship which is coming to the Boston province and which is carrying lot of tea in it, if they supply the tea into the American colony people, it is a cheap quality of tea. If they supply this cheap quality of tea, our tea prices would come down. Because Tea is an exclusive business of the colony people, and they are very proud in doing the tea business, and it is having a first quality tea. But the tea which is coming from India and Sri Lanka is a second quality tea when compared to the tea which is producing there in the in the colony people. So they don't want allow this cheap quality of tea to be dumped here in the colony of United States of America. What John Adams and few of his friends did was they disguise themselves as a Red Indians, and they have they jumped into the sea, and they sailed across the sea, and they entered into the ship and killed all the crew members of the ship, and they throw all the tea bags into the sea. This incident where John Adams along with his friends throw all the tea bags into the sea was considered to be as a Boston Tea Party. Boston Tea Party. What is mean by Boston Tea Party? Boston Tea Party means dumping of tea into the sea. I think I show you the picture of it. See here, they're dumping all the they're dumping the tea ship. They disguise these peoples were the Americans only, but they disguise themselves as a Red Indians, Native Americans of United States of America, and they are throwing all the tea bags. See here, they are sinking there, and they are floating there in the sea, and they're throwing all the tea into the sea. That is called Boston Tea Party incident. Boston Tea Party is one of the important incident in the American War of Independence, or the American Revolution, we called it as. Okay, so that is what the Boston Tea Party. Okay, because of this Boston Tea Party, what the American colony people did it, the colony people dumped the tea into the sea, and they brought loss to the British government, and they killed the crew members of the British government. So what the British government thought that was the colony people are become rebellious, and now we need to control the colony people. Because of the Boston Tea Party, British government sent army to the colony people. For what? To control the colony people. To control the colony people. British government sent the army. Now here it is England, and now it is the 13 colonies are there, and now the British government is sending the army. The army is coming there. They have not yet reached. They have sent the army. The British colony people came to know about it, and now course of revolution. We are shifting to the area course of revolution. Now the 13 colony people and the 13 colony leaders assembled in one place, and that is called Philadelphia. What is this Philadelphia? 13 colony legislative elected members assembled in a place called Philadelphia. For what purpose? To discuss what to do. If army landed here, definitely they are going to arrest us. Definitely they are going to do something. What we can do? Now, to discuss about the future event, to discuss about in the future what to do. 13 colony leaders, elected leaders of the Legislative Council, assembled in a place called Philadelphia. This is what we called it as Philadelphia Congress. Philadelphia Congress. What decision they took? In the Philadelphia Congress, they took a decision of declaring war. Declaring war against British. So, against British, declaring war against the British. They thought of it. Philadelphia Congress. Okay. This Philadelphia Congress is in 1774. 1774. After now in that Philadelphia Congress, the 13 legislative elected members have decided to declare war on the British government. Now the British army landed in the colony, and now the colony people decided to fight against the British army. Now the war started. Now the war started between whom and whom? Colony people and the British, and now the British government. Now colony people and the British government, now they are fighting with each other. They are fighting for their independence, and now they are fighting to control the colony British government. Now, after 2 years, when war took place, after 2 years, in 1776, in the same place of Philadelphia, 13 colony people, elected legislative members of the 13 colony people, met in the same Philadelphia, that is called Philadelphia Congress II. Philadelphia Congress II. What decision they took it here in the Philadelphia Congress? They declared independence. Declared independence. What is the earlier 2 years before they declared only war. After 2 years in 1776 they declared what? Independence. First, declaration of rights of man. Declaration of rights of man. That is called fundamental right. That is called Declaration of Rights of Man. This is what they called it as a most important thing of the US Constitution. That is Declaration of Rights of Man. All fundamental right. You can have a free speech, you can have a right to speech, a right to have a religion, follow a religion, right to have a movement, everything. That is Declaration of Rights of Man. And now the 13 colonies gathered together to form a union. Union. For what? What is the purpose of this union? This union is to fight against British. Fight against this. What is this union? Union is a 13 colonies. Union is a 13 colony. These 13 colony gathered together to fight against the British. Now, okay. Now the war started. 1776, 1784. Okay. 1770 up to this. Okay, wait. Okay, 1774, 1776, 1780, 1781, 1784. Okay. Now, from 1784, first Philadelphia Congress, where they declared war. 1776, where they declared independence. Until 1780, great advantage war was greatest advantage. Course of the war. Greatest advantage was for the British, because British won majority. Majority won by the British only here up to 1780. But in 1781, Battle of Yorkshire, in the Battle of Yorkshire, in the Battle of Yorkshire, in the Battle of Yorkshire in 1780, 13 American colonies won the war. Colonies won the war. Won the war. What happened suddenly in 1780 was when the 13 colony people won the battle, not the war, sorry, not the war, battle. War is a continuous one, battle is in between the war. So 13 colony people won the battle on that day. Battle on that day. 1780, immediately. In between the time 1784 to 1780, colony people are getting help from other countries also. They sent representatives. See, we don't have gun. We don't have any bullets to fire. We don't have any cannons. We don't have any dresses, army dress. We don't have anything. How we can get it? Only with the assistance of the other countries we can get it. Colony people sending the representatives to other countries to get help. They send representatives to France. They send representatives to Spain. They send representatives to Dutch, Italy, Germany. Like this, they send the representatives. But no one helped for the colony people because they know it. If French, Spain or Dutch or anyone helped for the colony people, definitely they have to face the war with the British government. So they don't want to have another war with the British government. So they were simply avoiding the colony people. Okay, that is your war. You look after your own war. But if you want to help, we will help you in the future. We will keep this in the mind. They told to the representatives, the French, Spanish, and all these people told that. So without getting any assistance from any of the country, the colony people were fighting their own battle with the British government. But suddenly, in the Battle of the Yorkshire, where the colony people won the battle against the British government, suddenly in 1780, dramatic change. France, Spain, and Dutch, suddenly they are helping for colony people. Helping for the colony people. Immediately, France sent its army to the colony people. Spain sent its army to the colony people. Dutch sent its navy to the colony people. The Spain sent its navy along with the army to the colony people to help the colony people to fight against the British government. Dramatic change. It was a great change. No one expected this kind of a change in the American Revolution. Suddenly, the colony people had a greatest advantage from the side of France, Spain, and from Dutch, who were willing to help. Why, sir? Why suddenly they are helping? They are asking help from 1774, but no one willing to help. But suddenly, why in 1780 they are helping? Because 13 colony people who won the battle in 1780 saw that the British army was weakened. The British government lost its advantage. French, Spain, and Dutch saw this occasion as a greatest advantage for them. Why? Because these three were defeated by the British in where? 7 Years' War. Yes, they want to take a revenge against the 7 Years' War, which was defeated by the British. Now they thought, this is the occasion. We have to take our revenge against the British, which defeated us in the 7 Years' War. Now they're helping for the colony people. French sent its army to the colony people. Now colony people army strength was increased because of French, Spanish, and Dutch, because of all the navy power. Within 1 year, in 1781, American War of Independence ended. Independence ended. 1781. I think you know about the information. The British general who surrendered to the 13 colony leader, who was the commander in chief of the 13 colony leaders were the George Washington. He was the man who was a commander-in-chief of the 13 colonies. And the man who surrendered before George Washington was Cornwallis. Yes, very good. The British general, Cornwallis. We know that Cornwallis was who? Yes, the Governor General in India. After Warren Hastings, Cornwallis came. What was the important reform introduced by Cornwallis? Yes, very good. Raithwari system. Raithwari system. Very good. Very good. The Raithwari system. No. Okay. After this, in 1784, they signed a treaty that is called Treaty of Paris. Treaty of Paris. What is it? Treaty of Paris. In the Treaty of Paris, 13 colonies independence was accepted. 13 colonies independence was 13 colonies independence was accepted. 13 colonies independence was accepted in 1784. So in 1784, Treaty of Paris was signed. In the Treaty of Paris, 13 colonies independence was accepted. No longer they were a colony, and now they became the independent country. Independent. Okay. So that is the course of the revolution. 1774, 1780, struggling period for the 13 American colony people, advantage for the British. But in 1780, smile over the colony by the God's grace, and they won the battle on that day. Immediately, French, Spain, and Dutch assisted to the colony people. Their army strength increased, navy strength increased. Within a year in 1780, the British government were defeated in the war, and Cornwallis, who was a general of the British Army, surrendered before George Washington. American Revolution ended. American War of Independence came to an end. 1784, they signed a treaty that is called the Treaty of Paris. In the Treaty of Paris, 13 colonies were given independence, and they were no longer colonies, and they became independent. That's all about the course of the revolution. Okay. I started with American Revolution. American Revolution. But in 1784, I told you about American War of Independence. American War of Independence. Is there any difference in between the two, American Revolution, American War of Independence? A small change is here. American Revolution is protest against political, that is political cause, intellectual and economic. Actually, the American, it was started as a revolution. It started as a revolution. Revolution against was second category citizen, against 7 years war, against their independence, against the economic reason, Stamp Act, Townshend Act, trading regulation, like this. So it started as a regulation protest. It started as a protest against the British, but it ended as a independence. Why? Because 1776 Declaration of Independence. So that is the thing. It started as a revolution, but in the course they thought that it is not enough a simple revolution. It is not simple protest. We need to get independence from the British. So in the middle of the course of the revolution, they thought independence is only our need. So we have to get independence from the British. So they thought that it is right to have independence. So it started as a revolution. In the course, they have aspired to become independent and ended with the independence. That's why I ended as American War of Independence in 1781 and signed a treaty in 1784 as an independent country. That is why American Revolution started and ended as an American War of Independence. Clear? Okay. Significance of American Revolution. What is the significance of the American Revolution? Significant. We divide this into two. One is internal, and the another one is external. One is internal and the another one is external. Okay, what is internal and then what is the external? Internally, the first and the foremost point of internal significance of American Revolution is the first one, they got independence. First one. And the second one, they got the written constitution. Excuse me, you have an announcement. In just a minute. Yes, coming back. The significance. What are the internal significance of the American Revolution? It was first and the foremost thing. They were no longer a colony. They were no longer a second category citizen. They were the people of independent country. That is the most important thing. That is the internal significance. That is independent country. Second one, they had a written constitution for themselves. Written constitution. Next one, they were the first country to become republic in nature. Think it up. Everywhere it was ruled by kings and queens. France was ruled by a king. Spain was ruled by the queen. Germany was no longer Germany was there. There is no Germany. England was ruled by queen and king. But in United States of America, they were very peculiar. They were going in a different direction. They elected a leader among themselves, and that leader is elected by the people, and that leader is going to be for a fixed tenure of 4 years or 5 years, and after that he would contest in the election. So that is called a president. The president's son is not going to become president. The president's son is not going to become president. Not a hereditary in nature, like in England. In England, hereditary in nature. Queen Elizabeth, after Queen Elizabeth, that is Charles is in waiting. A man who is waiting for very long years. The man who is waiting for very long years, Prince Charles. Okay, so like that, here it is not a hereditary one. It is not a constitution, it is not a monarchy. That is called republic. Elected head of a state is going to be elected by the people. Republic in nature, internal. And another important thing, what? And it was a tremendous progress, tremendous economic progress. Tremendous economic progress. What Europe did it in 500 years. Sorry, what Europe did it in 1000 years was done by USA in 200 years. Yes, that was. Europe took progress for 1000 years, but it was not necessary for the United States of America. USA did it only in 200 years. It became a superpower today. How that it was possible? It was possible only because of its nature, independent nature. So internal, external. Coming to the external point, the first and the foremost for the external point of the American Revolution is French soldiers who came from France and participated in the American War of Independence saw with their own eyes how the colony people were fighting for their independence. They don't have proper food, they don't have proper dress, they don't have proper boot or weapon, but they have independence in their heart. If we don't do it today, not in future. If we do it today, our son, grandson, our generations are going to be independent. We are going to be a citizen of an independent country, they thought. That was realized by the French soldiers. They compared their status there in France. They thought, how the American people are, how we are in France. Our king in France is consolidating everything. And we don't have proper food also there in France. Even though we are saying as a good country, in France we don't have proper food. We don't have proper to say. We can't say anything there in the government. See, these colony people are doing everything for their independence nature. So we also need to get this independent. This was felt by the French soldiers who participated in the American War of Independence along with the colony people. The American Revolution, American War of Independence ended in 1784. We can keep it. Okay. French Revolution started. The French Revolution started in 1789. How many years of gap? Think it of. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Only 5 years gap between American Revolution and American French Revolution. So what we can say? The seed of the French Revolution was present in the American Revolution. The seed germinated in the American Revolution and it was sprouted and busted out in the French Revolution. It took only 5 years. American Revolution inspiration was busted and it became busted out in the France and in the French soil within 5 years in the name of French Revolution. That French Revolution, one of the most important revolution, which is going to take upside down the entire European continent for another 200 years. So, the external significance of this American Revolution was very good example. The first one, the French Revolution, which took place within 5 years after the American War of Independence or the American Revolution. First, okay. The second one, the first country in the world against imperialism. Who? American colony people. That is, so first country, the first country against imperialism. The first country against imperialism. Imperialism, I will tell you the definition later. Now you take down here. Okay, here, take down. The first country against imperialism or ending colonization. ending colonization. Okay. Okay. The first country for decolonization. Decolonization means what I told you. Colonization means keeping one country under one country's control. What is decolonization means? Giving independence to the country. India became the colony of the British. We are colony. We are getting independence in 1947. That is decolonization. We got independence. That is called decolonization. So the first country for against imperialism. Against imperialism means dominance of one country over another small country. Bigger country here is whom? British. Smaller country was what here? 13 American colony people. So the first country against the policy of imperialism. And the second one, the first country set itself example for the decolonization, external. Okay. Okay. Next one. It became the first superpower. The first country to become the superpower. It is only after Second World War, but the road to superpower was started by United States of America here itself. The road, you write it as a road. The road to become superpower started from here itself. Clear? Superpower. So that's all. Here, that's all. The significance of the American Revolution. That is the here 3 points and here 4 points. 4 points here, 4 points here. That it is enough. Okay. So we ended with the American Revolution. American Revolution over. Next we are moving to French Revolution. After 5 minutes break, we can have a break. Okay. Okay. Yes, we can resume. Now we are going to a new chapter, a new topic that is called French Revolution. As usual, I will give the structure. French Revolution. (1789 to 1815). A very long stretch of revolution. I will give the structure of the French Revolution topic. First thing, timeline. Background. Causes of revolution. Here we are going to see political cause, social cause, economic cause, intellectual cause, and immediate cause. Course of revolution. Significance of revolution. Significance of revolution. Okay. So, timeline, where it started, where it ended. What was the background of the French Revolution? Background. Here, in the background, we are going to discuss about the map of Europe. That is what we are going to discuss here. The map of European continent, that is a background what we are going to discuss. Causes of the revolution: political cause, social cause, economic cause, intellectual cause, and immediate cause. Intellectual cause, we also called it as ideas of philosophers. Ideas of, we also called it as ideas of the philosophers. And course of the revolution, how it went on. Once started, how it went on. Significance of the revolution. Clear? Okay? Okay. Okay. First thing, timeline. Timeline. 1789. 1791. 1793. 1799. 1804. 1815. Okay. So from this phase up to this one, 1789, it is called causes and initial phase. Causes and initial phase. ஓபன் பண்ண சொல்றாங்களா? எதிர்பார்த்தேன். என்ன காப்பி பண்ணலையாமா? Okay. So you need time to copy. Okay. So causes and initial phase. 1789 to 1791, causes and initial phase. Causes and initial phase. Causes and initial phase. 1791 to 1793, reign of terror. Reign of terror. The phase of reign of terror. 1793 to 1799, the phase of directory. The phase of directory. 1799 to 1804, the phase of council. The phase of council. 1804, 1805, the phase of emperor. The phase of emperor. Okay. The emperor is nothing but, yes, very good, Napoleon Bonaparte. But from 1793 to 1815, this is called era of Napoleon. Era of Napoleon Bonaparte. From 1793 to 1793 to 1850. Excuse me. 1793 to 1815, it was called era of Bonaparte. Era of Napoleon Bonaparte. Era of Napoleon. That's all. Very simply. Era of Napoleon. One more thing I want to say to you. For our examination point of view, clear? For our examination point of view, this is most important. This is most important. And this phase, this, this, we are going to touch it. It is not much important. No more question is going to be asked from here in this phase. Only two examination point of view here in the phase of emperor. This is for our examination point of view. This is the repeatedly question asking from this part only. Here, no more questions is going to be asked. But if we want to understand the phase of emperor of Napoleon, we need to understand this, we need to understand this, we need to understand this. So, I am going to say what is happened here, what is happened here, what is happened here, not in detail. Clear? I am going to discuss what happened here, what happened here, what happened here for the continuation of history. Not in detail as like causes and initial phase. Clear? Okay? Okay. So, this is the timeline. Take time. You copy down. Okay. Next one. Background. Background. I told you background. I am going to discuss about the map. Now I am going to the map. Okay. Here is a map. Here is a map of European continent before French Revolution. This is before French Revolution. Before French Revolution. Before French Revolution. If you type it in Google, map of Europe before French Revolution, or Europe map before French Revolution, if you type it, you can get it, this map. That is very easy for you to further reference. Okay. Here, I want you to focus only the boundaries of the countries. What are all the empires, countries, and what are all the names and boundaries? Two things, name and their boundaries. This is two important thing we need to note here. Okay. First one, Kingdom of Portugal. The Kingdom of Portugal, that is Portuguese Empire. Who got Brazil? Kingdom of Spain, I told you, which was ruled by Isabella. Okay, Kingdom of Spain, which was ruled by Isabella. That is kingdom. The Spanish Kingdom. Kingdom of France, our hero. This is called the Kingdom of France. Our hero of French Revolution. That is the Kingdom of France. Okay, and here Holy Roman Empire. I discussed this Holy Roman Empire yesterday itself. That is Holy Roman Empire here, Eastern Roman Empire here. Eastern Roman Empire was also called as Byzantine Empire, and here Ottoman Empire. Sir, you told me here it was Byzantine Empire, but here Ottoman Empire. Yes, after the fall of Constantinople in 1453, Byzantine Empire ended and all those territories was taken by Ottoman Empire. So Ottoman Empire was here. Okay, that is in 1493. Now we are discussing in 1789. Okay, 1453 is a fall of Constantinople, and now 4, 5, 6, 7. After 300 years we are discussing. After 300 years, approximately after 300 years of the fallen of Constantinople, we are discussing. So here the Eastern Roman Empire, Byzantine, was completely vanished and it was taken over by Ottoman. That's why Ottoman Empire is here. Clear? Okay. Kingdom of France. Very good. See the boundary of France. French boundary is up to this one. This is the boundary of France. Very good. Nearby France, Holy Roman Empire. I told you. Holy Roman Empire. The Holy Roman Empire, the boundary of the Holy Roman Empire. See here. See here. Holy Roman Empire. Clear? This Holy Roman Empire. And another one, Kingdom of Prussia, Austria. Kingdom of Prussia, Kingdom of Austria. Understand one thing. This Kingdom of Prussia is overlapping with whom? This Kingdom of Prussia is overlapping with which country? Which empire? Yes. Kingdom of Prussia is overlapping with Holy Roman Empire. Kingdom of Austria, see here, this light orange. This is overlapping with whom? Holy Roman Empire. Which country is present here today? In the European map today. In the European map today, the country which is present here is Germany. Germany. So, Germany is nothing but, Germany was the earlier Holy Roman Empire. No Germany here. In 1789, there is no Germany in the Europe. Instead of that, Holy Roman Empire was there. Prussia overlap with the Holy Roman Empire territory. Austrian territory overlapping with the Holy Roman Empire. Okay. Kingdom of Poland. Poland kingdom here. Russian Empire. Russian Empire. Ottoman Empire. Ottoman Empire. Okay. Italy. But Italy was not there. Absence of Italy. There is no Germany. So, no Germany and no Italy in 1789. Before French Revolution, there was no Germany and Italy. Italy means here only separated small kingdom. Kingdom of the Sicily, Tuscany. We see that, discuss that later. Okay. So understand here, absence of Germany and Italy before French Revolution of 1789. That is, I give some topics yesterday. In that I discussed that, I told you that unification of Germany and Italy, that is what going to happen in future. But foundation here in French Revolution. Understand? Okay. So, no Germany and Italy in 1789. Okay, coming to the point. So, this is the map of the European continent. Understand? England, Great Britain, same, no changes there. Sweden, understand here? Sweden. Norway, Denmark and Norway. Denmark and Norway. Okay, so I show you. Kingdom of Sweden, Denmark and Norway. Clear? Kingdom of Great Britain. No changes here. Same that it was. Okay. So that was a background. What are the countries? What are the empires? What are the kingdoms? And what was the territory? Which included where? Which integrated with whom? How much extent it was? All these things what? Okay. All these things. Okay. Now, background. We saw the map background. Map. Now we come to the background of France. Background of France, because that is our hero. That is our revolutionary part. Subjective hero, France. What is the background of France? Who ruled France? Who ruled France? France was ruled by one dynasty that was called Bourbon. Bourbon dynasty. Yes, very good. The biscuit what we are eating. The biscuit what we are eating, Bourbon biscuit. The Bourbon biscuit. That is, yes, that is in the name only they had the dynasty. That is called Bourbon dynasty, which ruled France. This Bourbon dynasty had a series of rulers that was in the name called Louis. Louis XIII, Louis XIV, Louis XV, Louis XVI. Louis XVI. So Louis XIII, Louis XIV, 15 and 16. So France was ruled by a family dynasty that was called Bourbon. In the Bourbon dynasty, it was ruled by a series of kings that was called Louis, that was called Louis XIII, 14, 15 and 16. Okay. This Louis XIII, 14 and 15 ruled France strongly for 175 years. 175 years. These three, 13, 14 and 15 themselves collectively ruled France for 175 years, approximately. 175 years they ruled. Very long stretch, you know. 175 years. In Louis XVI, only in 11760, Louis XVI, sorry. Okay. So Louis XIII, Louis XIV and Louis XV strongly ruled collectively France for 175 years. 175 years. The Louis XVI, who became the king of France, not king, emperor, not a king. King means no small t, the emperor means king of king. Emperor means king of king. Chakravarti concept. So Louis XIV became king of France only in 1760s. 1760s. Okay. So in the background, France was ruled by Bourbon dynasty with a series of Louis family, that was Louis XIII, 14, 15. Louis XIII, 14 and 15 collectively ruled strongly France for 175 years. Louis XVI, who became the emperor of France in 1760s only. 1760s only, very recently in 1716. In the 1760s only. Okay. Okay. This is the background. This is the background of the France who ruled. What is the political condition of France? The political condition of France. During the time of Louis XV, during the time of the Louis XV era belongs to what? Louis XV era belongs to 1740s to 1760. 1740. What is the 1740 known for in Indian context? 1746, 1748, 1753. These known for what? Yes, very good. It is known for Carnatic War. In the Carnatic War, fight was between whom and whom? Yes, between British and France. Very good. So here, politically, from the time of Louis XV, From the time of Louis XV, France was continuously engaged war with British. So here politically, France, I write here, okay, France engage war with British from the time of Louis XV. Because of this war, what happened? In most of the time, France faced a defeat. What we need to understand? We need to understand, even though they strongly ruled France for 175 years, politically, France was slowly getting decline. France was steadily getting decline from the time of Louis XV. When Louis XV died, France facing a problem, that is, France facing lot of problem. I tell you the problem there. Okay, the problem that was facing by France. That problematic France was inherited by Louis XVI. Lot of problem was there for that France, and that problem was inherited by Louis XVI as a emperor of France. All the problem was not done by Louis XVI, only few things, but majority of the problem what was done by Louis, the successors of Louis XVI, Louis XIII, XIV, and majorly by Louis XV. So understand here, Louis XV time itself, France continuously engaged war with British. In most of the time, France faces the defeat because of that war. Because of this, what happened for the France? Complete financial loss, financial burden, complete loss. But the financial loss was during the time of Louis XV. That burden was shifted to Louis XVI. Political. Clear? That is a background. So, first thing, France was ruled by Bourbon dynasty, ruled by Louis family, and when Louis XVI inherited, problem was with France. The France was facing a problem from the time of Louis XV. Okay, background. Okay, now first we go to the causes. Political cause. Political cause. What is a political cause? The first and the foremost political cause of French Revolution was inefficiency of Louis XVI. Louis XVI's inefficiency. He was not fit to rule France like his forefathers of Louis XIII, Louis XIV, or his father Louis XV. He was not fit enough. They were very strong. They have a strong willpower. They had a strong decision making. But this Louis XVI was not a very strong-minded person. Only strong-minded person can able to rule fit a empire. But Louis XVI was not fit enough to rule France. He was not a man to become emperor. That's all. Very simply, he was a man. He was a man in an inappropriate place, not in a proper place. That's all. Okay. So inefficiency of Louis XVI because of his inefficiency. Okay. One. Next one. France was absolute monarch. Was a absolute monarchy. Was a absolute monarchy. What is mean by this absolute monarchy? I explain here. I think your polity class is started. In polity class, you come across with the rights that is called absolute. What is mean absolute? Full power, all powerful, Absolute means no questionable. So absolute means absolute monarchy. Absolute means all powerful, no question at all. No question at all. Okay, monarchy. I write this monarchy here. Okay, so absolute means all powerful, no question at all. Absolute. Okay, then what is mean by monarchy? Why we are not calling it as emperor? I will tell you. In those time, there was a concept called divine theory. What is called divine theory? Divine theory. What is mean by this divine theory? The king, the emperor, not king, the emperor was answerable only to the God. The emperor were considered to be as sons of God, or the emperors were considered to be as representative of God. Representative of God. And that was called as monarchy. Because of what? Divine theory. Divine theory. They were not answerable to the ordinary people, because God selected the man to rule a kingdom, and that man was an emperor. France, Bourbon dynasty ruling members of the France, Louis family was considered to be as a divine persons who were for the divine theory, because they were the sons of God. Because of this only Louis XIII, because of this only Louis XIV called himself as a sun god, god of sun, sun king. He called himself as a sun king. Sun king. Louis XIV called himself as a sun king, because he himself called as a sun king, because he himself called himself as a god. Think it of like that, sun king. So that is called divine theory. What is mean by divine theory? Divine theory means divinity over the emperor, because the emperor was considered to be as a son of a god. He was a direct representative of God to ruling over the people. God cannot place everywhere. Instead of that, God sending his representative or his son, that is called divine theory. So that is called monarchy. Absolute power means unquestionable power over the emperor who was considered to be as a son of a god. That is called absolute monarchy. Clear? That is the meaning. Clear? Okay. So the political cause of the French Revolution was the Louis family was absolute monarch. No one asked a question. Today, see, if we don't have any power to ask question, what would happen? They do as they like. Only in the representative form of government we can ask questions to the government. For example, we can elect a government here. We can ask questions to the government. Why you are not giving rice to us? Why you are increasing the petrol price? Why you are increasing the price of rice? Why you are increasing the GST? Why you are increasing this thing? So we have the power to ask question, because it is not a monarchy, it is a democratically elected. But in France, it was absolute monarch. It was a absolute monarch, which was in the divine theory. It corrupted. Think it of. All power was given to one man means what would happen? It would corrupt that man. So that is what happened. Inefficiency of Louis XIV, inefficiency of Louis XVI and the absolute monarchy of the France. Next one, Louis XVI was inefficient. Then who ran France? Instead of him, who ran France? Who was where the real power of France? Instead of Louis XVI, because of inefficiency, that place was taken by his wife, that is called Queen Mary Antoinette. Mary Antoinette. Mary Antoinette. She was considered to be as a princess from Austria. Princess from Austria. Princess from Austria. She was a princess from Austria. So, because of the inefficiency of Louis XVI, the administration, everything was done by Mary Antoinette. If Mary Antoinette, if she like anyone, he would be appointed as a minister. If she dislike anyone, he or she would be thrown out of the government. So, according to her whims and wishes, the administration was run in France because inefficiency of Louis XVI, and that was utilized by Queen Mary Antoinette. Clear? Clear. Okay. So, political cause, inefficiency, absolute monarchy of France, Queen Mary Antoinette's constant interference in government because inefficiency of Louis, according to her wishes and pleasingness, she appointed a person, dismissed the person out of the government. So, Queen Mary Antoinette's interference in government, you write it as. Queen Mary Antoinette's interference in government. Okay. Okay. Political. Social cause. Social cause. What was the social cause of the French Revolution? Before going into the before going into the social cause, we need to understand what is the structure of the society there in Europe and in France. In France, it was a 3-stage. The first state, this is the first state, called as clergy. Clergy, nobles, or we call this as lords, and commoners. Commoners. This was called as first estate. This was called as second estate. This was called as third estate. Third estate, okay. Social division. For example, in India, till independence, not today, in India, till independence, what is our social division? I think so your ancient India class is started. Okay, you know about your social division in India, in ancient India. That was called as Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras. Clear? Brahmanas, priest class, educated, who would do pujas, who would do the yagas, that is Brahmanas. Like that, clergy class was related to the church, and church related person, that was called clergy. they were in the top priority, that is first estate. Kshatriya, warrior class, soldiers, king, all these were considered to be as a Kshatriya, that is one who go for fight. And here nobles and lords, nobles or lords, that is the warriors, the soldiers, the knights, they were called as a second estate. But in India, we have one more subdivision that is called Vaishya, who would do trade, who would lend money. That is called Vaishya, trader, merchant or banker, that is called Vaishya. And Shudra, agricultural man, who would do job in the field, agricultural field. But in Europe, these two were combined together and they called it as commoners. Called it as commoners, that is third estate. The commoners were agriculturalist, peasant, the peasant, merchant, trader, doctor, engineer, scientist, teacher, all commoners. The commoners belong to majority of the population. This is what we called it as a social division. This is what we called it as a social division. The name of the social division in France was feudalism. Feudalism. What is mean by feudalism? Feud means land. Ism means rule. So the rule was based on land. Land-based rule. Land-based rule. Why it is called as land-based rule? I will tell you. In the top, it was a king. In the top, it was a king. What the king would do? King would donate land to the church. Land to the church. King would donate land to the nobles. Land. What the nobles would do? Nobles would pay taxes or collect taxes and pay to the king. Supply soldiers at war. Maintain law and order in the state. The king would donate land to the noble. For getting the land, in that land, the noble would collect the taxes. When the king is going for war, he would supply soldiers to the king and he maintained the law and order for the land which he received from the king. Land means, don't think it is like a 1 acre, 2 acre. It was like a piece of, like one South Indian, Tamil Nadu, like Kerala or like Andhra Pradesh, like they called a big portion of land. Big portion of land. 5,000, 6,000 acres of land. They got huge land. One small state itself was considered to be as a one piece of land that was given to the noble to collect the taxes, like that. That's why they were called it as a nobles. Okay, so the king would donate land to the church, and what the church is going to render, and the noble is rendering service to the king by rendering service to the king by collecting taxes, supplying soldiers, maintaining law and order. Okay, what the clergy was doing to the king for getting the land, how the clergy is going to render the service? No service at all, mostly. No service at all. But One thing what the clergy did it for the king, for getting the land from the king, that is, it maintained the divine theory. Divine theory. Why divine theory was upheld? Why the divine theory was maintained by the church itself? During the time we are discussing of 1789. 1789 means 18th century. 18th century. In those time, majority of the people assembling at one place means it was in church only. So how they would propagate to the king, how they would propagate the name of a king to the people? Do you have you heard of our king is the greatest man, our king is the most efficient man, our king is a most powerful man? We have to believe it because he's a direct representative of the God. He's a son of a God. All these things told by whom? Church, the clergy class, to the people. So they propagate the divine theory to the people. So for this only, they getting the land from the king and rendered service to the king by maintaining or upholding the divine theory among the people. What the commoners got? Nothing. Few peasant people was there and few peasant people had land. Not few, I'm sorry, not a few. Majority of people among the commoners were the peasant. Majority of the people among the commoners were the peasant population. They were the majority. But the land was very, very limited to them. Majority of the people among the commoners were the peasant, but the land was very, very limited to them. This is what the social division. That is called feudalism, land-based rule. King donate ruled, and rule was based on the ruling. Rule means here ruling, governance. The governance was based on land. The king, clergy, noble, and commoners. That is social. Okay, this is called feudalism. Here, the problem was the clergy and the noble class was considered to be as privileged class. Privileged. All facility is for clergy. All facility is for noble class. Government service, IAS, IPS today, maybe, if it may present in France in 18th century, IAS, IPS, if it is only for the lords, nobles, son of a noble. Son of a noble can become clergy. Any relatives of a clergy can become noble. So there was shifting between themselves only. They are exchanging among themselves. It was not allowed for the commoners. Understand here. A peasant cannot become a noble. A peasant cannot become a clergy. A merchant cannot become a noble. A merchant cannot become a clergy. But a noble can become a pope. Any relatives of pope become noble. So it was exchanged between them, not for the commoners. So it was like a watertight compartment. Very simply to say, there is no social elevation. Social elevation is for nobles and clergies. Noble can become pope, son of a noble can become pope. Any relatives of a clergy can become noble, but commoners cannot become the commoners cannot be able to become the noble or the clergy. So the vertical social elevation was not there for the commoners. Social problem was there because of feudalism. These peasant people were getting angry because of this one. The traders and merchants were getting angry because of this one. These doctors, engineers, scientists are become angry because of this one. All the commoners people are getting angry because of this watertight compartment where clergy and noble is excessively enjoying everything because they were privileged class and these people were unprivileged. Unprivileged, not a privileged people. Everything is enjoying by them, not by us. So there was a social, understand the key word. Because of the feudalism in France in 18th century, there was a social unrest. Social unrest. Because of feudalism, where this social compartment was there, because of this, there was a social unrest in France. Why social unrest? These people cannot able to elevate, no elevation for them in the social ladder. Next one. Economic cause. Economic cause. What were the economic cause? Same. Clergy, noble, lords, commoners. First estate, second estate, third estate. Clear? Okay. This here it is the economic cause. I told you the first and the second estate had lot of land within themselves. Okay. So population, land. How much is the population of this clergy and noble class? Population. Clergy and noble class approximately 10% of the population. Privileged class. This privileged class, clergy and noble, approximately 10% of the population. But these commoners were the 90% of the population. Commoners, 90%. Okay. How much land owned by this 10% of population? Land. Almost 65 to 80% of land was owned by this clergy and noble class. If you take land, either it belong to church or it belong to any clergyman or it belong to noble. So majority of the land owned by the church and the nobleman, that is 65 to 80%. Third is the commoners had land of only of 35 to 20%. They had. Think it up. 90% of population have either 30% or 20% of land. Land density over third estate people was very huge. It was a very huge land density. Here, land density, land to man ratio is very high here. Commoners, 90% of the population have very less land. Very less people have large land. Because they were the privileged class, because they were the unprivileged. Okay, what is the concept here? If they enjoy more land, they have to pay more taxes. Very good. They have to pay more taxes. because of the privileged class, these two people were exempted from taxes. Exempted from taxes. They not necessary to pay any taxes. No need to pay taxes. Then, if they don't see, I told you, life of a people depend on land only. Everything was from land only. But if the land was enjoying by these two 65 to 80%, but they don't pay any taxes, means how government is going to get money? How they can run the government? Don't you think it is a foolishness? But it was existed. Even though we know it is a foolishness, it was existed in France. Then tax burden was imposed over whom? And automatically tax burden was imposed over the commoners. Tax burden. Peasant, they have to pay taxes whatever they produce. They have to pay regularly taxes to the government. Traders and merchant, what? எப்போ ஸ்லோ ஆச்சு? சரியாச்சா? கிளியரா இருக்காமா? அதனால அவங்க கண்டினியூ பண்ண சொல்றாங்களா? அதான் டைம் வந்துச்சு. Okay, so because of some technical issues here, I think some people cannot not able to hear the commonest point here. I think the point which I told you earlier is very you can able to get it. So once again I am repeating from the point where I started, from the where technical issue was there. Okay, see, 90% of the population was having a minimum amount of land which was 35 to 20%. So automatically the clergy and the noble class, which was considered to be as a privileged class, were exempted from the taxes. Automatically the tax burden was shifted to the commoners. Agriculture, a peasant, what produced by himself in the years, he has to pay half of the produce to the government. Traders and merchant, what he traded, he paid taxes to the government. He would go there, he go by crossing the sea and collecting the commodity. When he come back to France, he has to pay the export duty. He has to pay the import duty. Like this, he has to pay lot of duties in the name of the taxes. So automatically the tax burden was imposed over the commoners. At one point of time, the commoners not able to tolerate the tax burden. At one point of time, this was not happened immediately. Yearly, century after century, it was slowly mounted over the commoners people, the tax burden. the tax burden. At one point of time, the commoners cannot able to tolerate the tax burden over them, and it busted out in the form of a revolution. That is the starting point of the revolution. So the economic cause of the French Revolution was I will write the key point, the key word in where I can write. I write it here. டைம் முடிஞ்சிருச்சு, இதோட நிறுத்திடலாமா? ஆடியோ கிளியரா இருக்கா? Okay, because of some issues, network issue, some people cannot be able to see the board clearly. Almost it is the end of the class, 1 o'clock. We end this today and I start tomorrow from the same economic cost. I start with the same economic cost from the tomorrow also. Now we can go for the doubt clarification session. Anyone having any doubt, you can ask me now.
Hello, sir.
Yes, tell me your name, from which part?
Sir, myself Mohanapriya, sir, from Chennai. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Mohanapriya. Tell me.
Sir, is there any specific NCRT or book that I need to refer for world history, sir?
Few people. Mohanapriya, can I tell you tomorrow? Already the people asked me yesterday. I told yesterday itself. I will tell you tomorrow. I told you yesterday. Once again, I'm repeating the same thing because the board is not clear today. I will write it, or I will ask them to post you in a group. Okay?
Okay, sir.
I will write it tomorrow, and also ask the coordinator to post the book or link of the book in your group. Clear?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Any doubts apart from this?
No, sir. No, sir. It was clear, sir.
Can you able to understand it clearly? The classes are?
Yes, sir. Very clearly, sir. Yes, sir. It's very nice, sir.
Okay, Mohanapriya. Okay, Mohanapriya.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yes. Yes.
Hello, G.
Yes.
G, today when you showed us the map of this Europe before this French Revolution, we had this Holy Roman Empire, right? But if I'm not wrong, yesterday you said that Holy Roman Empire, the western part disintegrated by 800 AD.
Yes, I told you yesterday the Western Roman Empire was disintegrated. After the disintegration of the Western Roman Empire, from in that place another empire was emerged that was called Holy Roman Empire. That Holy Roman Empire is this Holy Roman Empire.
So that one which was there in 500 AD is not Holy Roman Empire. Then what is the name of that empire?
Which empire?
The one that disintegrated in 8th century AD.
Western Roman Empire. So actually the Roman Empire is disintegrated into Western Roman Empire, Eastern Roman Empire. Clear? Clear. Okay. The Western Roman Empire was further disintegrated into small states. There was no any Western Roman Empire as we have in the map, but we called it as for namesake only. We called it as Western Roman Empire. After a few centuries after the disintegration, from that place one empire was emerged around 8th to 9th century AD. That was called as Holy Roman Empire. That Holy Roman Empire is this what we discuss in the map today. Clear?
Yeah. Thank you.
What's your name? Bharata.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, I'm Anand Karthik, sir.
Anand Karthik. Yesterday you have some doubt.
Yes, sir.
Tell me, Anand Karthik.
Sir, actually you said about social cause and economic cause in French Revolution. In exam perspective, I have doubts, sir. Actually, in feudalism, you said that in land-based rule, so special privilege are given to clergy and nobles, and special privilege not given to commoners.
Yes, yes.
So that they are suffering.
Socially.
Socially in the sense, sir?
Socially. Can you able to see the board? No.
லைட் இல்ல சார், ரொம்ப இதுவா இருக்கு சார்.
இப்ப அதுல என்ன ப்ராப்ளம் கேட்டீங்கன்னா, சர்ச்சில் இருக்க ஃபாதர்ஸ், சர்ச்சில் இருக்க போப்பு, இவங்கெல்லாம் வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா ப்ரிவிலேஜ்டு கிளாஸ். இவங்க எந்த டாக்ஸும் பே பண்ண மாட்டாங்க. இவங்க எங்க போனாலும் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ப்ரிவிலேஜ் இவங்களுக்கு தான். இப்போ கிளாஸ்ன்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா இவங்களுக்கு தான் வந்து அடுத்த ப்ரிஃபரன்ஸ் வந்திருக்கும். இப்போ ஒரு நோபலோட சன் இருக்காருன்னு வைங்க, அவர் வந்து ஒரு ஆர்ச் பிஷப் ஆகலாம், ஒரு பிஷப் ஆகலாம். ஒரு நோபலோட சன் வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா போப் ஆகலாம். இப்போ போப்போட போப்புக்கு பிரதர் இருக்காரு, அந்த பிரதர் வந்து கிங் கிட்ட கேட்டு என்னுடைய பிரதர் தான், அவனுக்கு நோபல் டைட்டில் நீங்க கொடுங்கன்னா இமீடியட்டா கிங் வந்து நோபல் டைட்டில் கொடுத்துருவாப்ல. ஸோ ஹீஸ் பிகம் எ நோபல். ஸோ இப்போ இந்த ப்ரிவிலேஜ் வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா இவங்களுக்குள்ளாரே எக்ஸ்சேஞ்ச் ஆயிட்டு இருக்கு. ஆனா காமனர்ஸ் அதை என்ஜாய் பண்ண விட மாட்டேன்றாங்க, காமனர்ஸ். ஸோ சோஷியல் அண்ட்ரஸ்ட், ஏன் நாங்க வரக்கூடாதா, ஏன் நாங்களும் அதை என்ஜாய் பண்ணக்கூடாதா, ஏன் அப்படின்ற தாட் ப்ராசஸும் அப்படின்ற டாக்கெட்டிவும் வந்து என்ன ஆயிடுதுன்னா அமாங் த காமனர்ஸ் வந்து வர ஆரம்பிச்சிருது. ஸோ இப்போ வெர்டிக்கலா வந்து சோஷியல் எலிவேஷன் காமனர்ஸ் கிடையாது. ஒரு பெசண்டா இருந்தா அவன் பெசண்டா தான் வந்து சாகணும். ஒரு ட்ரேடர் மர்ச்செண்டா இருந்தா அவன் வந்து ஒரு ட்ரேடர் மர்ச்செண்டா தான் சாகுவான். பணம் நிறைய வச்சிருப்பான், ஆனா சோஷியல் ஸ்டேட்டஸ்னு வரும்போது கிடையாது. நம்ம இந்தியால வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா ஏன்ஷியன்ட்ல நான் சொன்னல பிராமணா, சத்ரியா, வைஷ்யா, சூத்ரா. ஒரு எப்படி ஆனாலும் ஒரு வைஷ்யாவால வந்து சத்ரியாவை மேல எலிவேட் ஆகவே முடியாது, அப்படிதானே? அந்த மாதிரி வந்து ஒரு வாட்டர் டைட் கம்பார்ட்மெண்டா காமனர்ஸ் வந்து வச்சிருந்தாங்க. அதுதான் அவங்களுக்குள்ள ஒரு அண்ட்ரஸ்ட் வந்து சோஷியல் அண்ட்ரஸ்ட் வந்து கிரியேட் ஆயிடுச்சு.
ஓகே சார். அதுக்கப்புறம் சார் அந்த அமெரிக்கன் ரெவல்யூஷன்ல அந்த போஸ்டன் டீ பார்ட்டி சொல்லிருந்தீங்களா சார்?
ஆமா.
அந்த போஸ்டன் டீ பார்ட்டி வந்து இப்போ இந்தியால இருந்து ஸ்ரீலங்கால இருந்து செகண்ட் குவாலிட்டி டீயை வந்து இதுக்கு எடுத்துட்டு போறாங்க சார். இதுக்கு பிரிட்டிஷ் காலனிக்கு.
ஆமா.
அத வந்து தடுக்கறாங்கன்னு சொன்னீங்க.
காலனி பீப்புள் அத வந்து சீல போட்டு டம்ப் பண்ணிடுறாங்க, எல்லாத்தையும் கடல்ல தூக்கி போட்டு அத வந்து டெஸ்ட்ராய் பண்ணிடுறாங்க.
ஓகே சார். இதனால ஏன் சார் பிரிட்டிஷ் கோவமா வராங்க, பிரிட்டிஷ் கவர்மெண்ட்?
எங்க பிரிட்டிஷ் அந்த அவன் கொண்டு ஃபர்ஸ்ட் திங் என்னன்னா, அந்த டீன்றது பிரிட்டிஷ் கவர்மெண்டோட ப்ராப்பர்ட்டி லாஸ் வந்து யாருக்கு? பிரிட்டிஷ் கவர்மெண்ட்டுக்கு. ஸோ ஒரு காலனி பீப்புள் பிரிட்டிஷ் கவர்மெண்டோட ப்ராப்பர்ட்டியை வந்து லாஸ் பண்ணக்கூடாது, ஒண்ணு. ரெண்டாவது விஷயம், அந்த ஷிப்ல இருந்த நிறைய பேர்த்த இவங்க கொன்னுட்டாங்க, ரெண்டாவது விஷயம். மூணாவது விஷயம், நீ காலனி, நான் வந்து ஒன்ன ரூல் பண்ற ஒரு கவர்மெண்ட், எனக்கு எதிரா நீ எப்படி இப்படிப்பட்ட ஒரு வேலையை செய்யலாம் நீயே? அதுதான் முக்கியம். அதுல
இவங்களோட செகண்ட், அதாவது பிரிட்டிஷ் ஆள்ற நம்ம இந்தியால செகண்ட் குவாலிட்டி இவங்க வாங்கிக்கணும்னு நினைக்கிறாங்க காலனி பீப்புள்ஸ்.
ஆமா. அங்க காலனி பீப்புள் டம்ப் பண்ணி அதை வாங்கணும். ஆல்ரெடி காலனிலேயே நிறைய டீ இருக்குது, இங்க இருந்து காலனி பீப்புளுக்கு கொண்டு போய் டீயை கொடுத்தா ஏன் இதெல்லாம் லாபம் பார்க்கணும்னு பிரிட்டிஷ் நினைக்கிறான். ஏன்னா இங்க வச்சு அங்க கொண்டு போய் அவன் தலையில கட்டுறான். நம்மகிட்ட இருந்து எப்படி காட்டனை வாங்கிட்டு போய் நம்மளுக்கே துணியை செஞ்சு கொடுத்தான்னு அந்த கதை தான்.
ஓகே சார். அதுக்கப்புறம் அந்த ஸ்டாம்ப் ஆக்டுக்கு அப்புறமே நம்ம வந்து எக்கனாமிக் பாய்காட் நடந்தது இல்ல சார்?
ஆமா.
அதுக்கப்புறமா எப்படி சார் அவங்க டவுன்ஷெட் ஆக்ட கொண்டு வராங்க? ஆல்ரெடி அவங்க தெரிஞ்சிருச்சுல சார் இவங்க இத பண்றாங்க.
இருந்தாலும் பிரிட்டிஷ் கவர்மெண்ட் என்னன்னா, நம்ம டாக்ஸ் போடாம இருக்க கூடாது, அவங்க மேல டாக்ஸ் போட்டே ஆகணும். ஏன்னா அவன் காலனி, நம்ம ரூலிங் பார்ட்டி, அவன் வந்து நம்மளுக்கு கீழே இருக்கிறான், நம்ம சொல்றத அவன் செஞ்சு ஆகணும் அப்படின்ற இதில் தான் டவுன்ஷெட் ஆக்ட போடுறாங்க. ஆனா காலனி பீப்புள் அதை ஒத்துக்கவே மாட்டேன்றான். ரொம்ப ஸ்டபானா காலனி பீப்புள் இருக்கும், அதை ப்ரொடெஸ்ட் பண்ணிக்கிட்டே வந்திருக்கிறான். அதனால பிரிட்டிஷ் கவர்மெண்ட் அதனால அதை வந்து கண்டினியூ பண்ண முடியல. இந்த எக்ஸாம்பிள்லாம் வந்து பிரிட்டிஷ் என்னென்ன தப்பு பண்ணானோ அமெரிக்கன் காலனில அதெல்லாம் ரீகரெக்ட் பண்ணி இந்தியாவில் வந்து இம்ப்ளிமெண்ட் பண்ணாங்க. அதனால தான் இந்தியாவில் வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா இந்த மாதிரி ரிப்பீல்ற கதையே இருக்காது. இந்தியன் மாடர்ன் இந்தியா படிச்சிருக்கோம், கவனிச்சு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா எங்கேயுமே அந்த ரிப்பீல்ற வார்த்தையே இருக்காது. நம்மள வந்து அயன் ஃபிஸ்டுக்குள்ளாரே வச்சிருந்தோம்.
எஸ் சார். ஃபைனல் டவுட் சார், இந்த லெஜிஸ்லேட்டிவ் கவுன்சில்ல வந்து டாக்ஸஸ், மிலிஷியா, எலெக்ஷன் சொன்னீங்களா சார்? லெஜிஸ்லேட்டிவ் கவுன்சில் அவங்களுடைய ஒர்க், அப்ப எலெக்ஷன் இந்த சென்ஸ் நம்ம பீப்புள் வந்து அவங்கள ஓட்டு போட்டு தேர்ந்தெடுக்கிறாங்க.
இப்ப நம்ம பஞ்சாயத்து ராஜ்ல எலெக்ட் பண்ணி நம்ம வார்டு மெம்பர் மேல வந்து நம்ம முனிசிபல் மெம்பர் எல்லாம் எலெக்ட் பண்றோம் பாத்தீங்களா, அந்த மாதிரி அவங்களுக்குள்ளாரே வந்து எலெக்ட் பண்ணி ஒரு 4-5 பேர் லீடரா வந்து அவங்கள வந்து லெஜிஸ்லேட்டிவ் கவுன்சிலுக்கு வந்து வச்சிருப்பாங்க. அவ்வளவுதான். அந்த கவுன்சில் 4
லெஜிஸ்லேட்டிவ் கவுன்சில் மெம்பர்ஸேவா சார்?
லெஜிஸ்லேட்டிவ் கவுன்சில் மெம்பர்ஸ்னே இருந்தாங்க அவங்க.
இல்ல சார், அந்த மெம்பர்ஸ்க்குள்ளேயே அவங்க ஓட்டு போட்டு அவங்க லீடரை தேர்ந்தெடுக்கிறாங்களா எப்படி சார்?
கவுன்சில் மெம்பர்ஸ்னா ஒரு 4-5 பேர் இருப்பாங்க, அவ்வளவுதான். லெஜிஸ்லேட்டிவ் கவுன்சில் அவங்களுக்குள்ள லீடர்லாம் கிடையாது. There are 4 members depend upon the population of a colony. If a colony population is more legislative members, population colony கம்மியா இருந்துச்சுன்னா less number of legislative members, that's all.
ஓகே சார். அப்ப அந்த லீடர்ங்கறவ யாரு சார்?
அங்க லெஜிஸ்லேட்டிவ் கவுன்சில் மெம்பர்ஸ் தான் நான் லீடர்னு சொல்றேன். அந்த இடத்துல நான் லீடர்னு யாரையும் சொல்ல. இவன் இந்த லெஜிஸ்லேட்டிவ் கவுன்சில் மெம்பர்ஸ் எல்லாம் லீடர்னு யாரை எப்ப எலெக்ட் பண்றாங்கன்னா, ஜார்ஜ் வாஷிங்டன் தான் அவங்க லீடரை எலெக்ட் பண்ணி அந்த வாருக்கு போகும்போது அவங்க வந்து லீடரா அவரை அனௌன்ஸ் பண்றாங்க. லீடர்னு கிடையாது, அது கமாண்டர் இன் சீஃப், அவ்வளவுதான்.
ஓகே சார், தேங்க் யூ சோ மச் சார், கிளியரா புரிஞ்சிச்சு சார்.
ஓகே.
Good afternoon, sir. This is Sivapriya, sir, from Chennai.
Yeah, Shruti, சொல்லுங்க.
Sir, my name is Sivapriya, sir. Sivapriya.
சொல்லுங்க.
Sir, I have a doubt, sir, regarding this governor. Is the overall control for legislative council, no, sir, appointed by the British government in colony. So he is the chief of all legislative council of means all the colonies, or only for one legislative council?
It depends upon administrative convenience. British என்ன பண்ணாங்க, few point of time only one governor was there, and later point of time 2 or 3 governors for 3 or 4 colonies சேர்த்து வந்து அவங்க administrative convenience-க்கு வச்சிருந்தாங்க. யூனிக் ஃபீச்சரா வந்து ஒரே கவர்னர் ஃபார் ஆல் 13 காலனிஸ் அப்படின்றதுக்கு இல்லாம சில டைம்ல வந்து பண்ணா ஒருத்தர் இருப்பாரு, சில நேரத்துல வந்து 2-3 காலனிக்கு சேர்த்து வந்து ஒருத்தர் இருப்பாரு, மீதி ஒரு 4-5 காலனிக்கு ஒருத்தர் இருப்பாங்க. அந்த மாதிரி இட் டிபெண்ட்ஸ் அப்பான் தி அட்மினிஸ்ட்ரேட்டிவ் கன்வீனியன்ஸ் ஆஃப் த பிரிட்டிஷ். நம்ம கான்செப்ட் அங்க அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் பண்ணிக்கிறது என்னன்னா, there is a governor for few of the colonies, but that governor is a direct appointment of the British government, is not liable to the colony அப்படின்றத அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் பண்ணிக்கணும். அதுதான் நான் சொல்ல வரதுங்க.
ஓகே சார். அப்புறம் இன்னொரு சார், இப்போ இது ரிப்பப்ளிக் ஆகுது இல்லையா சார் அமெரிக்கா? சோ ரிப்பப்ளிக்கா ஆகுது, இதுக்கு முன்னாடி ஏதாவது ஒரு எங்கேயாவது அது இருந்திருக்கணும், அப்பதானே சார் அவங்க அதை காப்பி பண்ண வாய்ப்பு இருக்கு. சோ who may be the forefathers for them, sir, to implement republic?
ஏன்னா திடீர்னு அவங்க எப்படி ரிப்பப்ளிக்னு ஒரே இதுல வந்து அவங்க கொண்டு வந்தாங்கன்னு கேட்டீங்க. இந்த ரிப்பப்ளிக் கான்செப்ட் வேற எங்கேயோ இருந்து அவங்க அடாப்ட் பண்ணிருக்காங்க. அதுதானே நீங்க கேட்க வர்றது?
Yes sir.
Okay, very good. சரி, இந்த அமெரிக்கன் 13 very good question. அதை நாங்க சொல்ல மாட்டேன். You have asked it as a question. The 13 these colonies were these people were under colonies with which government? யாரு கீழ அவங்க வந்து காலனியா இருக்காங்க?
பிரிட்டிஷ் கீழ.
பிரிட்டிஷ் வந்து கான்ஸ்டிடியூஷனலா மொனார்க்கியா இருந்தாலும் few point of timeல வந்து அவங்களும் வந்து ஒரு ரிப்பப்ளிக்கா இருந்திருக்காங்க ஹிஸ்டரியில. அந்த ரிப்பப்ளிக் ஐடியா எங்க இருந்து அவங்களுக்கு கிடைச்சிச்சின்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா, அவங்க வந்து அந்த ஐடியா வந்து பிரிட்டிஷ் கிட்ட இருந்தே தான் வந்து அந்த காலனி பீப்புள் வந்து அதை வந்து அடாப்ட் பண்ணிக்கிறாங்க. ஸோ த ரிப்பப்ளிக் கான்செப்ட் அடாப்டட் பை த காலனி பீப்புள் ஃப்ரம் த பிரிட்டிஷ் ஒன்லி, பிகாஸ் இன் த பாஸ்ட் ஹிஸ்டரி ஆஃப் த பிரிட்டிஷ் for few years British government itself government itself was republic for few years. அந்த கான்செப்டை தான் அவங்க வந்து எடுத்துக்கிறாங்க. அப்போ வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா பிரிட்டிஷ் கொஞ்ச நாள் ரிப்பப்ளிக்கா இருந்தப்ப கிங் ரூல் பண்ண கிடையாது. ஏன்னா கிங் அவங்க வந்து ரிமூவ் பண்ணிட்டு ரிப்பப்ளிக்கா ரூல் பண்ணிருக்காங்க. அதை தான் கான்ஸ்டிடியூஷன்ல பிரிட்டிஷ் கான்ஸ்டிடியூஷன்ல எடுத்து அமெரிக்கன் பீப்புள் அவங்க அமெரிக்கன் கான்ஸ்டிடியூஷன்ல அடாப்ட் பண்ணிக்கிறாங்க. அதுதான் ரிப்பப்ளிகன் நேச்சர். கிளியரா இருக்குதுங்களா?
ஓகே சார், இப்போ கிளியரா இருக்கு சார். இன்னொரு டவுட் சார், இப்போ வந்து 1784ல அமெரிக்கன் வார் ஆஃப் இண்டிபெண்டன்ஸ் எல்லாம் முடிஞ்சு அமெரிக்கா ஃபார்ம் ஆகுது, அப்பதான் யுஎஸ்ஏ ஃபார்ம் ஆகுது, கரெக்டா சார்?
இல்ல, யுஎஸ்ஏ ஃபார்ம் ஆகுதுன்னு நம்ம சொல்ல முடியாது. யுஎஸ்ஏன்றது வந்து அசம்பிளிங் அப் ஆஃப் ஸ்டேட்ஸ் ஆஃப் 50 லேட்டர் பீரியட். அதை வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா ஒரு 1789ல வரும்போது அவங்க வந்து யுனைடெட் ஸ்டேட்ஸ் ஆஃப் அமெரிக்கா அதை கொண்டு வர்றாங்க. 1789 1784ல இண்டிபெண்டன்ட் ஆயிட்டாங்க. 13 காலனிஸ் அப்படியே தான் அவங்க காலனிஸா இருந்துட்டு இருந்தாங்க. காலனிஸ் தான் வந்து இண்டிபெண்டன்ட் ஸ்டேட்டா இருந்தாங்க. அது எல்லாம் ஒன்னா சேர்த்து யுனைடெட் ஸ்டேட்ஸ் ஆஃப் அமெரிக்கான்னு 1789ல தான் வந்து பண்ணாங்க. ஏன்னா அப்பதான் அவங்க வந்து ஃபர்ஸ்ட் கான்ஸ்டிடியூஷன் இம்ப்ளிமெண்ட் பண்ணாங்க. நம்ம 1750ல கான்ஸ்டிடியூஷன் நம்ம இண்டிபெண்டன்ட் ஆனது எப்ப 1947 கொண்டு வந்தா 1950ல கொண்டு வந்தோம் பாத்தீங்களா?
1950
அந்த மாதிரி அவன் இண்டிபெண்டன்ட் 1784ல இண்டிபெண்டன்ட் ஆனாலும் 1789ல தான் அவன் கான்ஸ்டிடியூஷன் இம்ப்ளிமெண்ட் பண்ணும்போது யுனைடெட் ஸ்டேட்ஸ் ஆஃப் அமெரிக்கான்னு ஆகுறாங்க. ஓகேங்களா?
ஓகே சார். சோ அப்போ அமெரிக்கன் வார் ஆஃப் இண்டிபெண்டன்ஸ்க்கு முன்னாடி வந்து பிரிட்டிஷ் காலனிஸ்னு சொல்லணும் அவங்கள.
பிரிட்டிஷ் காலனி
1789க்கு அப்புறம் யுஎஸ்ஏன்னு சொல்லணும். கரெக்ட்டா சார்?
அமெரிக்கன் சிம்பிளா அமெரிக்கன் காலனிஸ்னு சொல்லிட்டு போனீங்கன்னாவே அது வந்து காலனின்றதா வந்து ஆயிடும். அதுக்கப்புறம் இண்டிபெண்டன்ட் ஆனதுக்கு அப்புறம் வந்து யுனைடெட் ஸ்டேட்ஸ் ஆஃப் அமெரிக்கான்னு சொல்லிக்குவாங்க. அவ்வளவுதான். சிம்பிளா வந்து அமெரிக்கன் காலனிஸ் ஆர் பிரிட்டிஷ் காலனிஸ், தட்ஸ் ஆல். அது ஒன்றும் பெரிய வித்தியாசம் இல்லை.
ஓகே சார். அப்புறம் இன்னொரு டவுட் சார், இப்போ இந்தியாவில் வந்து இப்போ இந்த சமந்தாஸ் கான்செப்ட்லாம் இருக்குல்ல சார், நோபல்ஸ் வந்து அவங்களே இது டாக்ஸும் கலெக்ட் பண்றாங்க, ஆர்மி வச்சிருக்காங்க, ஸோ தே வில் ஓவர் த்ரோ த கிங் அட் எனி பாயிண்ட் ஆஃப் டைம். பட் அந்த மாதிரி ஏன் சார் பிரான்ஸ்ல ஆகல?
பிரான்ஸ்ல இல்ல, இது மாதிரி யூரோப்ல வந்து ரொம்ப வருஷமா நடந்துட்டு இருந்துச்சு. ஆனா எப்போ வந்து அவங்களுக்கு வந்து இந்த கிங்குக்கு அட்வான்டேஜ் கிடைச்சதுன்னா, இப்ப கிங்குக்கு வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா ஒரு இடத்துக்கு வாருக்கு போகணும்னா அவருக்கு வந்து சோல்ஜர்ஸ் கண்டிப்பா வேணும். சோல்ஜர்ஸ் யாருக்கிட்ட இருக்குது? நோபல்ஸ் கையில தான் இருக்குது. ஸோ கிங் வாஸ் டிபெண்ட் ஓவர் நோபல்ஸ் ஃபார் வெரி லாங் செஞ்சுரி. எப்ப கிங்குக்கு அட்வான்டேஜ் கிடைச்சதுன்னா, இந்த கன் பவுடர் கண்டுபிடிச்ச உடனே என்னாச்சு கிங்குக்கு வந்து, ஏன்னா சோல்ஜர் இருந்தாலும் அவன் வந்து சோல்ஜர் இருந்தாதான் வாட் தே கேன் டூ, தே கேன் ஏபிள் டு பிரேக் த வால்ஸ் ஆஃப் த ஃபோர்ட், கோட்டையோட கதவுல உடைக்க முடியும். அப்ப அதுக்கு சோல்ஜர் தேவை. ஸோ கன் பவுடர் கண்டுபிடிச்ச உடனே என்னாச்சு, சோல்ஜரே தேவையில்லை, லிமிட்டெட் சோல்ஜர் இருந்தா போதும். அவன் என்ன பண்ணலாம், ஹி கேன் பிளான்ட் த கன் பவுடர் அண்ட் கேன் பம்பார்ட் த வால், ஹி கேன் பிரேக் த வால், ஹி கேன் கோ இன்சைட் அண்ட் கேப்சர் எனி ஃபோர்ட் ஆர் எனி கண்ட்ரி. ஸோ இட் வாஸ் ஈஸி possible for them. So invention of gunpowder and introduction of gunpowder in the army reducing the dependency of king over the nobles. புரியுதுங்களா?
புரிஞ்சுச்சு சார். அப்ப நோபல்ஸ் cannot overthrow kings, அந்த சான்ஸ் கம்மி ஆயிடுச்சு.
அப்ப வந்து இல்ல, இதுக்கு முன்னாடி அந்த மாதிரி வந்து நிறைய ஹிஸ்டரியில வந்து the nobles overthrow the king and they have established new kings and they kept the king as a puppet in their hand. நம்ம இதுல நீங்க மாடர்ன் இந்தியால படிப்பீங்க இல்ல, அவுரங்கசீப் ஆஃப்டர் த டெத் ஆஃப் அவுரங்கசீப் there was பப்பட் முகல்ஸ் இருந்தாங்க பாத்தீங்களா, அந்த மாதிரி நிறைய நடந்துச்சு. பட் கன் இன்வென்ஷனுக்கு அப்புறம் ஆஃப்டர் த இன்வென்ஷன் ஆஃப் கன் பவுடர் that was not happened because king had gunpowder, monopoly of gunpowder only with the king, சென்ட்ரல் கவர்மெண்ட். ஸோ அதனால நோபல்ஸ் கையெல்லாம் கன் பவுடர் அவங்க கொடுக்கவே கிடையாது. ஸோ அது கிரேட்டஸ்ட் அட்வான்டேஜ் ஃபார் தம்.
ஓகே சார். ஸோ அதுதான் நம்ம இப்போ வரைக்குமே ஃபாலோ பண்றோம். இப்போ நம்ம இந்தியாவில் கூட சென்ட்ரல் கவர்மெண்ட் தான் டிஃபென்ஸ், அது சென்ட்ரல் லிஸ்ட்ல வரதுக்கு ரீசன் வந்து அதுதான்.
நம்ம ஆர்டினன்ஸ் ஃபேக்டரி சொல்றோம் பாத்தீங்களா, ஆர்ம்ஸ் அம்யூனிஷன்ஸ் அண்ட் ஆர்டினன்ஸ் ஃபேக்டரி வித் த சென்ட்ரல் கவர்மெண்ட், நாட் வித் த ஸ்டேட் கவர்மெண்ட்.
ஓகே, அதே கான்செப்ட்ல அவங்க மெயின்டைன் பண்ணிக்கிறாங்க அப்படியே.
வெரி குட், வெரி குட்.
ஓகே சார். ஓகே சார். அண்ட் ஒன் மோர் டவுட் சார், இந்த இது ஃபியூடலிசம் சொல்றோம் இல்லையா சார், இந்த ஃபியூடலிசம் வந்து இப்போ திப்பு சுல்தான் பீரியட்ல வந்து ஃபியூடலிசம் வந்து ஒரு கேபிட்டலிசம் நோக்கி மூவ் ஆக ஆரம்பிச்சாருன்னு சொல்றாங்க. ஸோ ஃபியூடலிசமும் கேபிட்டலிசமும் ஆப்போசிட்டா சார்? அண்ட் ஹவ் வே இட் இஸ் ஆப்போசிட், தட்ஸ் வாட் ஐ வாண்டட் டு நோ.
திப்பு சுல்தான் நீங்க கொண்டு வரீங்கன்னு எனக்கு புரியல. இதுல
ஆக்சுவலா ஸ்பெக்ட்ரம்ல ஒரு இது பார்த்தேன் சார். அப்போ இந்தியாவில் வந்து ஃபுல்லா எல்லா இடத்துலயும் ஃபியூடலிசம் இது பண்ணிட்டு இருந்தாங்க. But Tipu Sultan was the first Indian ruler who started moving towards capitalism, and he started giving some agents like British East India Company மாதிரி அவங்க வெவ்வேறு இடத்துக்கு அம்பாசிடர்ஸ் அனுப்ப ஆரம்பிச்சாரு அப்படின்ற மாதிரி பார்த்தேன் சார். காலனைசேஷன் அவர் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணலான்ற ஐடியால இருந்தார்.
மாடர்ன் இந்தியால நீங்க சொல்றதெல்லாம் கரெக்டா. he sent emissaries, he sent ambassadors to Turkey, Cairo, ஈஜிப்ட், ஒட்டோமான் எம்பையர், இங்க எல்லாத்துக்குமே வந்து எமிசரிஸும் அம்பாசிடர்ஸும் அனுப்புவாரு. ஈவன் ஹி சென்ட் அம்பாசிடர்ஸ் டு பிரான்ஸ் டு கெட் தி அசிஸ்டன்ஸ், எதுக்கு, அகைன்ஸ்ட் பிரிட்டிஷ். இதெல்லாம் வந்து பண்ணாரு. கேபிட்டலிசம் மூவ் பண்ணாருன்றது இட் வாஸ் நாட் அ ஃபார்மல் கேபிட்டலிசம், அது ஃபுல் ஃபிளஜ்டு கேபிட்டலிசம்னு சொல்ல முடியாது. ஹி இன்வெஸ்டட் அண்ட் ஹி ஸ்டார்டட் டு ஃபைண்ட் ஃபேக்டரிஸ். அந்த ஃபேக்டரிஸ் என்ன ஃபேக்டரி ஆரம்பிச்சாருன்னா, நம்ம மாதிரி வந்து மாடர்ன் டே ஃபேக்டரி கிடையாது, ஆர்டிலரிக்கு தான் ஆரம்பிச்சார். ஆர்டிலரினா வந்து கன்ஸ் தயாரிக்கிறதுக்கு, கெனான் தயாரிக்கிறது, பீரங்கி தயாரிக்கிறதுக்கு, இந்த மாதிரி இதுக்கு தான் அவர் வந்து
திண்டுக்கல் ஃபேக்டரி அந்த மாதிரி சொல்றீங்களா சார்?
ஆர்டிலரி ஃபேக்டரி அங்க வந்து ஆரம்பிச்சாங்க. இதுதான் வந்து அவர் என்ன பண்ணாங்க, அது கேபிட்டலிசம்னு அவங்க சொல்றது இந்த சென்ஸ்ல தான் சொல்றாங்க. நீங்க அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் பண்ணி, நம்ம இப்ப பிரசன்ட் கேபிட்டலிசம் இருக்கு பாத்தீங்களா, அந்த பிரசன்ட் ஃபார்ம் ஆஃப் கேபிட்டலிசம் இந்தியால வந்து இண்டிபெண்டன்ஸ்க்கு முன்னாடி கிடையவே கிடையாது. இருந்துச்சு, டாடா, பிர்லாஸ் அண்ட் த கேபிட்டலிசம் வாஸ் தேர். நீங்க சொல்ற பீரியட்ல, திப்பு சுல்தான் பீரியட்ல இருக்க கேபிட்டலிசம் இஸ் நாட் அ மாடர்ன் டே கேபிட்டலிசம். அப்ப அவர் வந்து இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணி ஆர்டிலரி அண்ட் அதர் திங்ஸ் ஹி ஸ்டார்டட், தட் இஸ் வாட் தே கால்ட் இட் அஸ் அ கேபிட்டலிசம். ஓகேங்களா?
ஓகே சார். ஓகே சார், இப்போ புரிஞ்சிச்சு சார். அப்புறம் இன்னும் ஒரே ஒரு டவுட் மட்டும் சார். இப்போ இந்த ஸ்டாம்ப் ஆக்ட் காங்கிரஸ்னு ஒன்று ஃபார்ம் ஆச்சு இல்லையா சார்? அது வந்து டெம்பரரி காங்கிரஸா சார்? ஏன்னா பிலடெல்பியா காங்கிரஸ் திரும்ப ஃபார்ம் ஆகுது. இதுக்கு எதுவும் ரிலேஷன் எதுவும் இல்லையா சார்?
அது டெம்பரரி காங்கிரஸ் எதுக்குன்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா, அந்த ஸ்டாம்ப் ஆக்ட் அப்போஸ் பண்றதுக்கு மட்டும் கேதர் ஆன ஒரு குரூப் அது, அவ்வளவுதான். அதுக்கப்புறம் அவங்க வந்து அப்படியே டைல்யூட் ஆகிறாங்க. அதுக்கப்புறம் பிலடெல்பியா காங்கிரஸ் வந்து யாருன்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா, the elected legislative members of each and every colony send the representatives to the Philadelphia Congress to decide what with the colony with British in the future. அதுக்கு தாங்க பின்னாடி நம்ம என்ன பண்ணலாம், இப்படியே சண்டை போட்டுட்டு இருக்கலாமா, ப்ரொடெஸ்ட் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கலாமா, நம்ம சுதந்திரம் வாங்கலாமா, இண்டிபெண்ட் ஆகலாமா அப்படின்றத டிசைட் பண்றதுக்கு தான் அந்த எலெக்டட் லெஜிஸ்லேட்டிவ் மெம்பர்ஸ் வந்து அந்த பிலடெல்பியா காங்கிரஸுக்கு போய் அட்டன் பண்றாங்க. எல்லாம் சேர்ந்து பேசி வந்து நம்ம இப்போ வார் டிக்ளேர் பண்ணலாம் அப்படின்னு முடிவு பண்றாங்க. 2 வருஷம் கழிச்சு நம்ம சுதந்திரமே வாங்கிடலாம்னு முடிவு பண்றாங்க. ஸோ அதுதான் அந்த பிலடெல்பியா காங்கிரஸோட வேலை. மெம்பர்ஸும் அதுதான். புரியுதுங்களா?
புரியுது சார். அப்ப காங்கிரஸ்னா ஜஸ்ட் குரூப் ஆஃப் பீப்புளா சார்? இல்ல காங்கிரஸ்னா ஆக்சுவல் மீனிங் என்ன சார்?
காங்கிரஸ் மீன்ஸ் குரூப் ஆஃப் அசெம்பிளிங் ஆஃப் பீப்புள். காங்கிரஸ்னா குரூப் ஆஃப்.
ஓகே, அப்ப நம்ம இப்ப பிஜேபி கூட காங்கிரஸ்னு பேர் வச்சுக்கலாம், நோ ப்ராப்ளம். அது கூட ஒரு குரூப் ஆஃப் பீப்புள் தானே சார்? அப்படி வச்சுக்கலாம்.
பட் क्वेश्चन இந்த பிளாட்ஃபார்முக்கு வேணாம். அப்படி ரொம்ப பொலிட்டிக்கலா வேண்டாம். That means Congress means assembling up of people in a place to discuss something, discuss to further even something like that. அந்த மாதிரி ஓகேங்களா? நான் காங்கிரஸ்னு பொலிட்டிக்கல் பார்ட்டி சொல்ல, இந்தியன் நேஷனல் காங்கிரஸ் அப்படின்றத வந்து இந்தியன் நேஷனல் மூவ்மெண்ட்ல இருந்தே வந்துகிட்டு இருக்குது. ஓகேங்களா? அது மூவ்மெண்ட்ல இருந்து வர்றது, இந்தியன் நேஷனல் இண்டிபெண்டன்ட் மூவ்மெண்ட்ல இருந்து வர்றது. ஓகேங்களா?
ஓகே சார்.
ஓகே
ஓகே சார், புரிஞ்சு. Thank you sir, thank you so much.
Hello sir.
Yes
Sir, I have a doubt regarding monarchy sir.
Tell me
sir. Can we call Ottoman Empire and Mughal Empire as monarchs?
Yes, definitely monarchy. Mughal emperor are considered to be as a divine. They were considered to be as a representatives of God. Mughal emperor, they were divine theory. You are from which part of? You are from which part?
Chennai sir. Chennai sir.
சொல்லலாங்க, அதை சொல்லலாம். ஏன்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா அவங்களும் காட்ல இருந்து டைரக்ட் ரெப்ரசன்டேட்டிவ் தான். அவங்களுக்கும் முகல் எம்பரஸும் வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அப்சல்யூட் மொனார்கி தான். ஒட்டோமன் எம்பரஸும் வந்து அப்சல்யூட் மொனார்கி. எல்லாருமே அப்சல்யூட் மொனார்கிஸ் தான்
சார். அப்பனா வந்து யாரு நம்ம கிங் அப்படிங்கிற ராஜா அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி சொல்லுவோம் சார். எல்லாருமே அப்போ எல்லா கிங்குமே வந்து
எல்லா கிங்குமே நீங்க வந்து ராஜான்னு, எல்லா கிங்குமே நீங்க அப்சல்யூட் மொனார்கின்னு சொல்ல முடியாது. இப்ப இந்தியால வந்து யார் பெரிய கிங்கா இருந்திருக்கிறாங்க உங்களுக்கு தெரிஞ்ச அளவுக்கு சொல்லுங்க. மௌரியா, அசோகாலாம் பெரிய கிங். அவரு வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா அவங்களை என்னன்னு சொல்லிக்கிட்டாங்கன்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா தேவனம்பிரிய பிரியதாசி, நியரர் டு த காட், சன்ஸ் ஆஃப் அ காட் அப்படின்னு சொல்லி, சாரி, நியரர் டு த காட், கடவுளுக்கு அருகாமையில் இருப்பவர்கள் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிக்கிட்டாங்க. ஸோ அப்ப சந்திரகுப்த மௌரியா அசோகா மௌரியாவும் எவ்வளோ லேண்டை ரூல் பண்ணாங்க இந்தியால? கிட்டத்தட்ட இந்தியா ஃபுல்லுமே ரூல் பண்ணாங்களா? கொஞ்சோண்டு சவுத்துல மட்டும் இல்ல. ஸோ யாரெல்லாம் நம்ம அப்சல்யூட் மொனார்க்னு சொல்லுமோ பெரிய லேண்டை ரூல் பண்ணவங்க எல்லாத்தையுமே நம்ம வந்து சொல்லுவோம். அப்படிதான் அவங்களதான் வந்து அப்சல்யூட் மொனார்க்னு சொல்லுவோம். அந்த பெரிய லேண்டை ரூல் பண்ணவங்களா யாரு? அவங்களாம் சக்கரவர்த்தி. சக்கரவர்த்தினா யாரு? கிங் ஆஃப் கிங். சாதாரண கிங் கிடையாது. கிங்னா வந்து ஒரு சின்ன குட்டி ஏரியா ரூல் பண்றவங்க. சக்கரவர்த்தி பெரிய ராஜ்யத்தை ரூல் பண்றவங்க. ஸோ the absolute monarch were a king, the absolute monarch were a people who were called themselves as a emperor. எதுக்கு அதை கொண்டு வராங்க? பிகாஸ் டு ஷோ பிரஸ்டீஜ் டு themselves. என்ன மதிப்புக்கோசரம். என்ன மதிப்பு? அப்பதான் மக்கள் வந்து நம்புவாங்க. ஏன் மக்கள் நம்புவாங்க? சாதாரண மக்களா இருந்தா மக்கள் நம்ப மாட்டாங்க. ஆனா ஒரு கடவுளோட தூதுவன், ஒரு கடவுளோட மகன், ஒரு கடவுளோட டைரக்ட் ரெப்ரசன்டேட்டிவ்னா மக்கள் என்ன பண்ணாங்க? ஓ மை காட், நம்ம கிங் வந்து பெரிய கடவுளோட மகன், நம்ம வந்து ரெஸ்பெக்ட் பண்ணும் அப்படின்னு வந்து ஒரு பயம் கிரியேட் ஆகும். ஸோ ஃபார் தட் பர்பஸ் ஒன்லி தே மெயின்டைன் த டிவைன் தியரி ஆஃப் கிங்ஷிப். That king is considered to be as a representative of God, son of a God or nearer to the God. இப்ப புரியுதுங்களா நான் சொல்றது?
புரியுது. ஸோ டிவைன் தியரி வந்து ஒரு அட்மினிஸ்ட்ரேட்டிவ் பர்பஸ்க்காண்டி அவங்க கொண்டு வந்தாங்க அப்படிங்கறத இன்ஃபார்ம்
அட்மினிஸ்ட்ரேட்டிவ்
பண்ணிக்கலாம்.
பர்பஸ்ன்னு எல்லா பர்பஸுக்கோசமே தாங்க அது. டிவைன் தியரின்றது வந்து அட்மினிஸ்ட்ரேட்டிவ்க்கு மட்டும் கிடையாது. மக்களை ஃபியர்ல வச்சுக்கிறதுக்கு, மக்களை வந்து அவங்க மேல மதிப்பு கொண்டு வர்றதுக்கு, அதை வந்து அட்மினிஸ்ட்ரேஷன் பண்றதுக்கும் சொல்லிக்கலாம். பக்கத்து கிங், ஒரு சாதாரண கிங் வந்து அந்த எம்பரரை பயந்து ரெஸ்பெக்ட் பண்ணுன்றதுக்கோசரம், ஃபார் ஆல் பர்பஸ் திஸ் வாஸ் இன்ட்ரடியூஸ்ட். இது இட் வாஸ் நாட் ஓன்லி மாடர்ன் தியரி. ஏன்ஷியன்ட் இந்தியாலே வந்து இருக்கும். உங்களுக்கு ஏன்ஷியன்ட் இந்தியா கிளாஸ் ஆரம்பிச்சிருச்சு இல்ல? அதில் பாருங்க, அதுல நீங்க குஷானாஸ் வரும்போது படிப்பீங்க. குஷானாஸ் தான் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் இந்தியால வந்து அந்த டிவைன் தியரியை வந்து கொண்டு வந்தாங்க. சன்ஸ் ஆஃப் காட்னு குஷானாஸ் வந்து சொல்லிக்குவாங்க. இப்ப நல்லா புரிஞ்சுச்சா புரியலீங்களா?
எனக்கு புரிஞ்சுச்சு சார். ஓகே சார், தேங்க்யூ சார்.
தேங்க்யூ. என்ன இருக்காங்களா முரளி?
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Swati. I'm from Andhra Pradesh. Sir, you said about the political causes in French Revolution, sir.
A political cause in French Revolution. Yes, tell me.
In that, I did not understand you. You told that France was an absolute monarchy, and after that, you told that Queen Mary Antonia. I did not understand that point.
I will tell you the first reason for political cause of French Revolution: inefficiency of Louis XVI, because he was not fit enough to rule France like his forefathers like Louis XV or Louis XV or Louis XIV or Louis XIII, because he was not strong enough to rule France. Can you able to understand this point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Second point. France was an absolute monarch. What is meant by absolute monarch? I split it into two. Absolute means all
full power. Full power.
Full powerful. And monarchy means which was in divine theory. What is meant by divine theory? King is considered to be a son of God or nearer to God or representative of God. People were in fear. People were always believed that king is considered to be as a sons of the God. So that absolute monarch, what happened if all power was given to one man? You are considered to be as a representative of God. You can do whatever the thing you need. All power is in your hand. What would happen? You can do everything what you want. No one, you listen to no one. You don't get advice from anyone. You act according to your one. So that would happen. What happened because of this one? Louis XVI taking decision of himself, or if he don't have any capacity to take decision, he shifted his decision making power to whom? His wife. That is called Mary Antoinette. So automatically she interfered in the government. What she did, if she like a man, okay, this man is very good. Why can't we make him as a minister? He became minister on the very next day. He dislikes one man. Oh, he's not respecting me. He's not bowing to me. And he is not respecting me. Okay, dismiss this man from the government. He's dismissed out of the ministry. Like that, according to their wishes, whims, and other things, they have changed the ministry like this. If we run a government like this, how a government would become efficient? That is a reason failure of the political point of the French Revolution that leads to the political cause of the French Revolution. Can you able to understand it now?
Yes, sir. Sir, and one more doubt. In social cause, you have told that clergy and nobles have the same equal respect, while the commoners doesn't have, as they were low, means as were peasants like that. And after that, you told of feudalism, which is a land-based rule. And one more point to the because of feudalism, there was a social unrest in France. What is the social unrest?
Yes, social unrest. See, become the relative of a priest can become a noble. A noble's son can become bishop or archbishop or even pope. So they're shifting their privilege among themselves. But when a peasant born as a peasant, he has to die as a peasant. Traders and merchants they have to born as a trader and merchant, die as a trader and merchant. They cannot become a noble. They cannot become a clergy. So there is no social elevation in vertical. That is why there was angry among the commoners. That's why they are protesting. Later, not now. As we discussed now they are not protesting, but angry was there. That is what I use the keyword social unrest among the commoners. Because of what? No social elevation in the social hierarchy.
Commoners.
Yes, for the commoners.
Sir, and one more doubt I got, that you told significance of American Revolution, no, sir?
Yes.
Sir, in that, I do not understand the second point in which you told external, sir. It was first country against imperialism. As my connection was gone, I was not able to understand the second, third, and fourth point.
It was the first country against imperialism. That is the second point. I wrote it in external. Okay. Yeah, your modern
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
modern India, we became colony of British from what point of time? Exactly from 1757, Battle of Plassey.
17, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Get independent where 1947. Okay.
47.
So that period from 1757 to 1947, British imperialism is over here. What? Imperialism is what? Imperialism means one strong country ruling over a weaker country, a smaller country. So British government ruled over the 13 colony people, and that colony that was what the colony people did it. Colony people fought against the British government and won the war. So they were against imperialism. No strong country should rule any smaller country or weaker country hereafter. That is what the example put itself by United States of America. That is what I am telling to you.
Yes, sir. Sir, and you told in American Revolution, you told course of revolution that the 13 colonies assembled at one place. Is it 13 colonies, the majority of the colonies which was gathered at
Philadelphia
one
Congress
place?
or in the Stamp Act?
Philadelphia, sir.
Philadelphia, most of the 13 colonies was assembled there. 13 colonies was assembled there in the Philadelphia Congress.
Only in Stamp
The Stamp Act, not 13 colonies. Majority of the colonies was there. Majority means not full-fledged 13 colonies. Only majority of the colonies. Either it may be 8, 9 or 10, like that.
Okay. So in Stamp Act, so they did a protest and also in Townshend Act also there was an economic boycott.
Indirectly understand, some colonies are accepting Stamp Act. Majority of the colonies not accepting that. Understand like that. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, I did not understand that Boston province.
Boston Tea Party. Boston is a province in United States of America. The tea is collected by British from India and Sri Lanka, and they are sending it to American colonies to sell the tea in the United States of American colonies. The United States of American colony people came to know about this thing, and they wanted to stop the tea that is coming to the colony. So when the ship reached very near to the Boston province means Boston area. When they reached the Boston area, John Adams and a few of his friends disguised themselves as a Red Indians, and they throw all the tea bags into the sea. That is what we called it as a Boston Tea Party. That is, what is the reason for dumping the tea means already tea was growing there in the American colony. If the British government is dumping the tea there means they have to pay for the tea also. Already the tea was growing there. Why they have to pay for the extra tea which is selling by the British government? That is what British government is growing tree in India and Sri Lanka, and they purposefully sending the tea to the American colony where already tea was growing there. That is the thing.
Sir, and John Adams was elected by British only, sir.
John Adams was he was an American colony. He was the second president of United States of America. He was the first president of United States of America. He was one of
as he was a president of that American colonies. Why should he throw the tea into the sea, sir?
Why?
As it was that, as he was you told that John Adams was a president, one of the president in those colonies, no, sir?
One of the, not president, he was one of the member of the legislative council. He was one of a man among the legislative council. Okay. Swati, you are from Andhra Pradesh, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is not your country, your state, Andhra Pradesh is known for what? Rice. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
So,
sir.
don't need rice from outside. Plenty of rice is available in Andhra Pradesh itself. Okay. That is first quality of rice.
Yes.
Can you able to understand it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, central government is planning to dump rice from, example, from Tamil Nadu and selling rice there in Andhra Pradesh, whether you want that rice or not.
Yes. No, sir. No.
Why? Why you don't want rice?
As we are having plenty of rice in our state only, why should we get?
That is the same case. Already tea was growing there in the colony people, and British government, for the profit purpose, which was growing here in India and Sri Lanka, and they are selling the tea in the colony people. That is don't want for the colony people. Can you able to understand the concept now?
Yes. Yes, sir. If the tea was brought from the other state to the colony people, for that also they have to pay the tax.
Yes, that is also, they have to pay the taxes also there. Already tea was growing there, and that is first quality tea, and already there was they have not repealed the Townshend Act on the tea. Then why they have to buy the tea? Extra they have to pay the taxes also there. That is one.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. I understood, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. 7 பேர் இருக்காங்களா? ஒரு ஜஸ்ட் வீட்டுக்கியா அந்த டோர் திறந்தீங்கன்னா அதுலயே நான் என்னோட ஷெல்ஃப் டோர் ஓபன் பண்ணீங்கன்னா எஸ் முரளி.
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, I'm Pooja. I have a doubt regarding the 13 colonies. That is, you said that 13 colonies were British colonies. So they were also colonies of French and all those there. So they didn't take part in American Revolution?
No, that is, they never took part in it. Already they were defeated in the 7 years war. 7 years war, no. In the 7 years war, the French, Spanish were defeated, and now they cannot say anything there in that war, anything there. They cannot say anything here. Okay, I will tell you one more thing which you can able to understand it. France was having very dominant position in India until the first and the second Carnatic War. And after the third Carnatic War, France lost its power here in India. Can you able to understand it?
Yes, sir.
Why France lost its power here in India? Because it was continuously defeated by the British. Even though they have some trading stations and colonies here in India, that is Pondicherry, Mahi and other thing here in India, but they cannot play a major role here in India. Like that, because of the defeat of the French and the Spanish in the 7 years war, they don't have any major role here in the British war of, that is in the American war of independence. Anyhow, few of the French people in the from the French colony helped for the American colony people, British colony people. Something indirectly they helped it. That was informally that it was happened there.
So even after the independence of America, these people were not independent?
This French, yes, after that United States of America purchased that land from the French government. I will tell you this during the French Revolution end, and the Spanish I will tell you later, not now, because United States of America purchased land from the French and the Spanish in the later period, not in 1784. That was later history, not now.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, on what basis the 13 colonies were divided, sir? Because they were from British only, no, sir?
I told you.
On what basis they are separated?
First come, first serve basis. Can you able to understand?
They are the set of people. Okay, sir.
The first people who came there, they carved out a colony. Second set of people go up there and they carved out a colony. Third set of people who came there, like this first come, first serve basis, they have captured their land and they clear the forest and they formed a colony. That's all, very simple.
Okay, okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
ஹலோ சார்.
எஸ்
சார், இப்ப அமெரிக்கா ஃபார்ம் ஆயிட்டாங்கல்ல சார், இப்போ யுனைடெட் ஸ்டேட்ஸ் ஆஃப் அமெரிக்கா அப்படின்னு.
சரி,
ரெண்டாவது ஒரு சிவில் வார் மாதிரி சார் அங்க.
அது இப்போ வராது. நான் இப்போ சிவில் வார் வந்து 1861 நடக்கும். நம்ம இப்போதான் வந்து குரோனாலஜிக்கலா 1789 இருக்கிறோம். நான் 1861 வரும்போது சிவில் வார் பத்தி நடத்துவேன். அப்ப நடத்தும் போது தான் உங்களுக்கு வந்து புரியும்.
சரி, அது உண்டு சார், வேர்ல்டு ஹிஸ்டரி அதுலயும் உண்டு.
இருக்கு. அது வந்து ஒரு சின்ன போர்ஷன். அது 1861 வரும்போது நான் அதை பத்தி அங்க வந்து நடத்துவேன். இந்த பிரெஞ்சு ரெவல்யூஷன் முடிஞ்சு போஸ்ட் பிரெஞ்சு ரெவல்யூஷன் ஒரு டாபிக் நான் சொல்லியிருக்கேன் பாத்தீங்களா, அது முடிஞ்ச உடனே உங்களுக்கு வந்து அந்த அமெரிக்கன் சிவில் வாரை பத்தி அந்த இடத்துல நடத்துவேன் குரோனாலஜிக்கலா.
சரி சார். சார், அப்புறம் இவங்க ரெனைசன்ஸ் ஆயிருக்காங்கல்ல சார், ஒரு சர்ச் அத்தாரிட்டியை வந்து எதிர்த்து நிக்க ஆரம்பிச்சிட்டாங்க. அப்புறம் ஏன் சார் கிங் எதிர்த்து நிக்க மாட்டேங்கிறாங்க? கிங் இவ்வளவு கொடுமை பண்றாங்க, கிங் எதிர்த்து நிக்கிறதுக்கு ஒரு தைரியம் இல்லையா சார் இவங்க அப்படின்னா?
சரி, நான் ஒரு எக்ஸாம்பிள் உங்களுக்கு வந்து நான் சொல்றேன். இன் இந்தியா we have lot of corruption in the ministries and also some kind of the formal institution. Why we are not opposing that? அது ஏன் நம்ம அப்போஸ் பண்ண மாட்டேன்றோம்?
லா அண்ட் ஆர்டர் அப்படி வச்சிருக்காங்க.
இல்ல இப்போ ஒரு
மினிஸ்ட்ரி நமக்கு கொஞ்சம் பெனிஃபிட் இருக்குனால இல்ல சார், அதுல வந்து நமக்கு ஒரு பெனிஃபிட் இருக்குனால நம்ம அதுவும்
இல்ல பெனிஃபிட் இருக்கு. கொஞ்சம் வேற மாதிரி யோசிங்க. நீங்க சொல்றது கரெக்ட். அது இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் மாத்தி சொன்னீங்கன்னா நல்லா இருக்கும்.
நம்ம நீட சாட்டிஸ்ஃபை பண்றதுக்கு
அப்படி இல்ல. மினிஸ்டர் பர்சன் தான் தப்பு பண்றாரு, அந்த போஸ்ட் கிடையாது. ஓகேங்களா? மினிஸ்ட்ரி கிடையாது, மினிஸ்டர் தான், பர்சனல் தான். பர்சன் இஸ் ராங் பட் நாட் த இன்ஸ்டிடியூஷன். கரெக்ட்டுங்களா?
புரியுது.
அப்ப கிங் இருக்கிற கிங் தான் தப்பு, ஆளு தான் தப்பு ஒழிய த கிங்ஷிப், அந்த கிங்ன்ற பொசிஷன் வந்து தே நீடட். பிகாஸ் அதை தாண்டி அவங்களுக்கு வந்து வேற யோசிக்க முடியாது. இப்ப நம்மளுக்கே வந்து பிரசிடென்ட், பிரைம் மினிஸ்டர் தவிர வேற ஒரு கவர்மெண்ட் நம்மளால யோசிக்க முடியுமா? முடியாது இந்த டைம்ல. ஏன்னா we have been sliced like that.
அது மாதிரி ஒரு சிச்சுவேஷன் வந்துச்சுன்னா வரும்.
அப்ப சிச்சுவேஷன் வரும்போது தான் அதை ஓவர் த்ரோ பண்ணிட்டு அவங்க வேற ஒரு கவர்மெண்ட் அடாப்ட் பண்ணுவாங்க. அவங்க கிங்க தான் தப்பா பாக்குறாங்க. கிங்க வந்து அந்த பொசிஷனை வந்து அத்தாரிட்டியை வந்து அவங்க வந்து அவங்க வந்து கொஸ்டின் பண்ணவே கிடையாது. they need a king but some other person. அது நல்லவனா இருந்தா அக்செப்ட் பண்ணிக்கிறாங்க, கெட்டவனா தப்பா இருக்கிறதுனால தான் they are protesting against it. ஓகேங்களா? இப்ப புரியுதா?
புரியுது சார். ஓகே சார், thank you சார்.
thank you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, in the American Revolution, you said all the 13 colonies had a legislative council member.
Yes.
And he was governed by a governor. And the governor was governed by the British government.
By the British government, yes.
Yeah. So when the legislative council member was under the governor, indirectly he is working for the British government, no sir?
Who the legislative council members?
Yeah.
No, that is not the process. See here, for each and every colony there was a legislative council. For the purpose of the legislative council only, the legislative council members were elected. That is stopped there. But for overall administration of the looking after the governance of the colonies, either 2 colony, 3 colony or the entire 13 colony, the governor was appointed directly by the British government. So there is no connection between the governor and the legislative council members. Legislative council members were the local people who look after the care, taxing, militia of their own colony, the need of their own colony. British government had no way connected with the local people and connected. His overall thing is to administrate the colony, and to what is told by the British government, he has to implement it. And if the government has to collect taxes, he has to collect the taxes and to maintain the law and order, rules and regulations of the British government in the colony. That's all. Now you can able to understand.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. இருக்காங்களா முரளி?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, I have a doubt on divine theory, sir. the church actually propagated the divine theory in return for the land which is got from the king, sir. But during the 13th century itself in Europe, Renaissance occurred, sir. And it continued till 18th century. So still, the people believe in that divine theory propagated by the church, sir.
That is what I told you. Socially, why that unrest is creating? In the end of the, you are asking this with the connected to French Revolution only. We are not yet completed the French Revolution, but anyhow, I will tell you, I clarify the doubt here. Why that social unrest coming among the people only in 18th century? You are from which part?
Because of Pondicherry, sir.
Tamil தெரியும்ல?
தெரியும் சார்.
அப்ப ஏங்க திடீர்னு அந்த 18th செஞ்சுரியில அந்த சோஷியல் அண்ட்ரஸ்ட் அப்ப வருது, ஏன் ஒரு 13th செஞ்சுரியில வரல, 14ல வரல, 15ல வரல? இவ்வளவு நாள் டாலரேட் பண்ணிட்டு இருந்தவங்க ஏன் இந்த 18ல வந்து திடீர்னு ப்ரொடெஸ்ட் பண்ண ஒரு சோஷியல் அண்ட்ரஸ்ட் கிரியேட் ஆகுது? அதுதான் ரினைசன்ஸ். அந்த ரினைசன்ஸ் 13th செஞ்சுரியில வந்துச்சு பாத்தீங்களா? slowly the renaissance is impacting among the people. That idea of renaissance is impacting the people. என்னன்னு? Because ஆல் மேன் ஆர் ஈக்குவல். அப்ப நோபலும் ஈக்குவல் தான், நீ ஒரு பெசன்ட்டும் ஈக்குவல் தான், ஒரு கிளர்ஜியும் ஈக்குவல் தான். பட் அவங்க மட்டும் என்ஜாய் பண்ணாங்க, நீ ஏன் என்ஜாய் பண்ண முடியல? உனக்கே இல்ல. பிகாஸ் யூ ஆர் பீயிங் இக்னோர்ட். இதுதான் அந்த ரினைசன்ஸ் இம்பாக்ட் இங்க இருக்குது. அதை நான் கடைசியில சொல்லணும்னா யூ ஆஸ்க்ட் மீ இன் தி மிடில் இட்செல்ஃப். ஓகே, இப்போ புரியுதுங்களா?
எஸ் சார், எஸ் சார். தேங்க் யூ so much சார்.
ஓகே, அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட். கிளாஸ் புரியுதுங்களா?
புரியுது சார், நல்லாவே புரியுது சார்.
ஓகே, தேங்க் யூ. ஓகே,
தேங்க் யூ சார்.
இருக்காங்களா முரளி?